Morning, everybody.
Morning, Mark. Everyone feels okay today?
Yeah, feel great. How about you?
I feel good, David.
Eh.
Eh.
Eh. But I did second night this week. I slept well, so that's
I'm going to
progress.
say you stayed in the Holiday Inn Express.
That's progress. Slept better anyway.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Thursday. The Masters gets underway in 90 minutes. We're 2 weeks away from the draft. The NBA regular season has less than 100 hours to go. The hockey season has less than a week to go. Baseball rolls along. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, David. Good morning. Ready for the Masters. Fired up. It's one of the great weeks of the year for me. I've always enjoyed this tournament. You think about watching it with my father growing up and now watching it with my son this week. So I'm very excited about the Masters. Really looking forward to it because I think it's a wide open tournament. And it always is. But, with Scheffler and McIlroy the last couple of years and McIlroy and DeChambeau last year, two of the favorites, I think we're going to have a few more guys competing this year. I just have that feeling.
I do as well. I also think that the course is going to play hard. And I think that that'll bring a few more people into it as well. I don't know if the winning score is going to be much better than 10. I mean, it was windy as heck yesterday. This course, apparently Sunday and Monday, it was pretty soft. And by yesterday, guys were like, yeah, it ain't soft anymore. And there's virtually no chance of rain in the forecast for 4 days. So this course is going to be hard and dry and fast. The greens will be crusty a little bit by the weekend. And, I mean, I'm not saying this is going to be, Zach Johnson winning it at +1, but I think, I asked you yesterday, you didn't think 10 was enough. You thought it had to be 12 or 13. I don't know. I think I might take 10.
Well, I mean, I think it's a good thing to start with. There's no doubt there. But, obviously we'll see. We don't know. Your points are all valid. And if the wind keeps up, it makes every golf course hard. And with all of the technology, you think of Augusta as this pristine place. And what was it? Calcavecchia kicked off the course for using his phone, for crying out loud.
Right.
But I mean, you think of all the rules, and those of us that have been lucky to have walked the grounds of Augusta, there are no phones. There are still actual real phones. There are phone banks. If you have to make a phone call, you have to go over to a certain area where they have phones set up for you, but you can't have a cell phone out there. You feel like you're walking back in time in many ways when you get on the course, but there is no golf course in the world that has the technology on the course, if you will, the things they've built under the greens to keep them dry so that they have everything known to man from a golf maintenance standpoint to make that course how they want to make it.
Now, you and I have both been fortunate enough to have been there twice, right?
I've only been there once.
Only been there once with your dad?
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Been
You were there
18 years.
A couple days, though, right?
Yes.
What, and, for those of you who haven't been there, hope you don't feel that this next couple minutes is obnoxious, because hopefully if you really want to go, you will get there. And I know it's getting harder and harder to get there. And it's also getting more expensive to get there. Of course, once you get on the course, it's unbelievably affordable. But what was the thing that struck you?
The hills, the sheer difference in elevation on that golf course. And for instance, that 10, the tee shot is dead downhill. You don't realize what the hills, how steep that hill is. And I've told this story before. I think I've told it on air, but my dad at that point, my dad had I don't know how many back surgeries my father had. He had 8 different back surgeries. He had discs removed. He had fusions in the teens. He looks at Tiger with his surgery and smiles and giggles. And we just walked the course. We weren't playing the course. My dad we got there. He goes, let's just walk this sucker. And it happened to be a foggy morning, so they didn't start. We watched Arnie and Jack tee off, and Gary was still playing. It was one of Player's last tournaments. So we watched Arnie and Jack tee off, and then we started walking. And they didn't start it because of the fog for a good hour and a half after that. And he would literally have to stop every 3 holes and say, I need a break. I need to sit down. And, we had our chairs with us, and we'd find a spot in the shade and he'd take a break because he couldn't and he was determined to walk the course. It took us a while. I mean, the hills are unbelievable on that golf course. And one of my favorite spots that really doesn't get talked about ever by anyone was the tee on 11, the tee box. We walked behind where they tee off there. And the chute is so narrow for the first, 40 yards, 50 yards until it opens up, if you will, as you blast it to the top of that hill. That, for someone who doesn't drive the ball well, it was the most menacing. 12, you understand all the things that go on. But when you're standing there looking at 12, you're going, how the hell can't they hit this green? Yeah, the green's small, but it's just, it's a wedge for crying out loud. So, that one, but the tee shot on 11 was one of those to me that I was like, oh my goodness, does this look difficult?
I'm going to go completely opposite. I remember, because the first time I went, I just went as a patron. The second time I was there for the week I was working it. But by the end of the day, I was just looking around going, there's no squirrels. I haven't seen one squirrel. How could there not be any squirrels? Okay. Had the bird sounds all day. Okay. And, everybody talks about, are they piped in? And they say, no, I heard a lot of bird sounds. Okay. But we're in the woods. They carved this course out of the woods in Northeast Georgia. There's a lot of trees on that course. Not one squirrel. I was walking into the woods a lot. Okay, going, there's no evidence. How could you have this many trees and this much woods and not have a squirrel? Okay. I would love to know how they've done that. Okay, I
can give you some ideas.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I understand, but not one. Not one. It's not like deer hunting season. We usually don't shoot all the deer. Bear hunting season, we normally don't get every deer. I'm just curious. That, I know that's very trivial. I just laughed, though. I walked around. I go, this place is amazing. The sights, the sounds. I literally didn't see one piece of litter on the ground. I saw somebody innocently drop something and literally have 2, not workers, but quote patrons go, hey, you dropped something there. It's like they were making sure, no, can't have that. Okay.
Now, I will say from that, I thought you were talking the course. The other thing, the undulation on the greens is amazing to see. Like the 5th green, holy Toledo. I saw Ian Woosnam hit a perfect shot out of the trap. It bounced once. It was about to spin. While it was spinning, it hit the flagstick about 4 inches above the cup. And that added spin to it. And the ball that would have been maybe at worst 2 feet from the hole, ended up spinning down 2 different hills and off the front of the green. And he was incredulous. And that was the one shot that I saw where I saw a guy make a perfect shot, but unfortunately for him, on a bounce, it hit the stick and it just ricocheted off the damn green. But to your point, David, we started the second day trying to see some things like where they don't run out of anything. Where are they coming from?
Right.
And there are strategic tunnels, and all of a sudden you'll see a golf cart kind of pop out.
Boom.
And so that was, from the ground set, because it's Disney World on acid or steroids or whatever you want. I mean, because Disney World looks like a Walmart compared to Augusta National. And that's not a knock on Disney. I mean, I think all of us realize if we've been to theme parks in our life that Disney does the best job of cleanliness and trying to be as user-friendly. I know it's expensive, but you get the point that I'm making. The Masters, from the moment you walk down Magnolia Lane and you have 7,000 different volunteers and workers saying, welcome to Augusta, have your badges out, to the way you're treated in the restrooms, to the way you're treated in the concession lines, to the way you're treated at the merchandise room or building, rather. It is sheerly amazing. And to your point, David, there are people walking around, I think they have yellow bibs on. They are there just to pick things up. And there are so many of them. Yep. It is uncanny.
Yesterday, you mentioned the U.S. Mid-Amateur champion gets a spot in the Masters. So my first day on the course, I had to make sure I got over to 6 because Mike Podolak was Payne Stewart's roommate at SMU, and he won the 1985 Mid-Amateur, so he was there in 86. In fact, he played with Gary Player, missed the cut, but stayed around for the weekend, and he was there on Sunday. But he told me a story. He said, so I'm playing with Player in the first round, and I hit it to like 4 feet on 6, but I'm above the hole. And as we're walking, Gary Player says, nice shot, son. Make sure you don't 3-putt. And Podolak is like, that is rude. What? It just said, yeah. He goes, I 4-putted. So I asked him where the pin was, and he told me. So I made sure when I got to 6, okay, I got as close as I could, and I'm just looking around and go, oh, yeah, all right. If you knock it by, oh, yeah, oh, down the hill. Oh, okay, all right. So, yeah, you talk about the contours of the greens and what have you. Imagine hitting 1 to 4 feet and having a legend say, now just make sure you don't 3-putt. I'm going to make birdie. Make sure you make 3. So, but yeah, if you can go. All right. It really is worth it. Never. Have you ever met anybody who went and didn't say, give it a B+ or better?
No, I've never heard anybody not give it an A+. Really and truly, I've never heard anybody say a derogatory thing. It is fear. I mean, David and I'll make our first 40-year-old reference on the show. When Johnny Fever talked about the phone cops, I'm literally afraid to talk badly about Augusta because I think they're always listening. I truly believe that there is not a time that there's someone assigned to every person in the world to make sure they don't ever say anything bad about Augusta National.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
PA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
What, Adam, I'm sorry. I'm going to challenge you on that. No civilization around that area. It's literally across the street from an IHOP. It's on the busiest road in Augusta. I mean, if you're saying particularly everybody working Augusta, I mean, where do you think they come from? Now, the volunteers come from all over because my son's, I guess it's really a cousin, but it's one of those great uncles, if you will. But it would have been my ex-wife's uncle, Danny. He was he lived in Greenville, North Carolina, and came down every year to be a marshal. And years ago, he got himself 2 badges. And like Paula said, that's a $10,000 bonus every year. I mean, that's like saying Jacksonville's a metropolis, that Augusta's in the middle of nowhere. You know, Jacksonville's a really small city with a lot of town around it.
Huge town.
Well, I mean, it's the
Huge.
whole, I mean, I'm kind of being facetious. It's, you get into Duval County, you're actually in the city of Jacksonville city limits. I mean, the sign's right there. It's one of the things that's always cracked me up about Jacksonville.
I heard biggest city area-wise in the country.
Yes, that is exactly correct. 100%. So, Raj, I may ask you again on the air, but what did you think of the show?
Oh, it was awesome. They were great. He was great for how old he was. He sat down a little bit, obviously, but he still killed it. The place was packed. It
Very
was
cool.
really good.
Very cool. I know the only rock shows left seem to be old rock shows, but good that it can still be good.
Yeah, my daughter might have been one of the youngest ones there, but she loved it too.
Well, she plays the guitar, so I can see where she would like it. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, her quote was, "That was peak, bro."
Outstanding. Outstanding.
They even did all the songs from that pop record he did with all the guests on it. Obviously, the guests weren't there, but
Right.
that was cool.
Adam, I'm gonna call flat out BS there. A sponsor's tent at Augusta. Where was the tent? Where was the tent? Never heard of a corporate tent on the grounds at Augusta. You may have had a building across the street on whatever road that is, but no.
Did you have a house like off of 5 or something like that? I mean,
A corporate tent? Come on now. Raj, you will I'll tell you next break. Santana was at Hertz Arena last night, Brown Chicken.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for waking up with us. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. We'll start digging into the draft in our 8 a.m. Eastern hour today. You know, there are some interesting teams. First off, you got 5 teams with 2 first-round picks. And then you've got some teams that are also just kind of interesting where they are. I mean, you know, I think the Titans at 4 are interesting. Will they really go the Notre Dame running back? Or is he going to get past them? And then, you know, has somebody got to change their draft plans? Who thought that Love would go at 4, and next thing you know, New Orleans or Kansas City, or who probably won't be them because they signed Kenneth Walker. But, you know, just anyway, we'll get into the draft. We'll focus on one of the teams that has 2 first-round picks, the Jets, and then we'll also talk Texans. You know, they're in one of the toughest spots to be in. They're good. They can't get better than that. Never mind the question with the quarterback they have. Is he more like the rookie, or is he more like the last 2 years? Because the rookie can take him to a Super Bowl. The guy the last 2 years, it's about as far as he can take him.
And the guy in the playoffs last year, they won't go back to the playoffs with.
Oof.
I mean, that guy, David, they could be picking in the top 10 if that guy plays the whole year. Right. That was the worst quarterback play for a team that won games in the playoffs that I've ever seen in my life.
I remember one year, well, it was the Raiders, I think. Carr got hurt late in the year, and they had to go play a playoff game with a guy who had never played before. And he threw like 4 interceptions, and they got blown out. And during the season, they had been the better team, but without their quarterback, they were lousy. You know, kind of looked like the Broncos with their backup quarterback last year. Kick the field goal, Sean. Kick the field goal. But we digress. So some draft talk later on in the show. If that's okay, you know, it's 2 weeks from today in Pittsburgh. Just saying.
It's my draft papers, David. They're increasing. A lot of printouts yesterday. A lot of homework to be done here.
Wow. And 2 weeks out. That's, you know, you're not cramming this year. That's some prep right there.
Well, you threw down the gauntlet yesterday. Make no mistake. I've been thinking about that ever since the segment of the show when I said, let's do a mock draft, and he went Troy Aikman on me. As if to say, like, you can do a mock draft with me. Why don't you take the day off? I'll become 2 people, and I will become a multi-personality disorder human, and I will in fact, I will be 27 people, because that's how many teams are picking, and I will be everyone.
It wasn't that, okay, but also, see, you're in a different place now, all right? You're stir crazy. You don't have enough to do. Okay, most times I'm dealing with Mark Miller, who A, doesn't want to do anything extra unless he has to, or B, certainly doesn't want to do anything extra for free. Okay. And then you threw out the idea of a mock draft. And I went, well, wait, well, where's this coming from? Okay. We've been joined at the hip for a generation. What are you talking about, mock draft? So it caught me off guard. My reaction was more incredulous than mocking. That's all.
All right, fair enough. But you have to remember, David, what would the mock draft? This is where you make one grave mistake with those comments. What will the mock draft accomplish? It basically takes care of a show. And that's right up my alley. I mean, you get through the first hour, you do a little starting five from 7 to 9, really it's from 7 until 9:40. I mean, that can be the mock draft.
It's true.
You don't have to book any guests. I mean,
Well, you're right. It caught me off guard, but you know what? Maybe I should have been better prepared for it.
That's all right. I'm okay. It doesn't seem that way, but I actually am. Not much hockey last night, but a bad night for Tampa Bay as the Sabres win and expected to. They were a better team than the Rangers who they played, but they win the game. So Tampa, after losing the night before to Ottawa, now they are in second place in the division. And the Sabres not only leading the division, but letting everyone know that, well, just be careful, Carolina. We're right there. And they've played one more game. They're 2 points behind Carolina, but they have 4 more regulation wins. So if it does end up in a tie, Buffalo will have the tiebreaker unless Carolina were to win out. And in that case, if they win out, they get it. So still a lot to play for. A lot to play for in the East. And Edmonton, a win last night. I know David will get to it, but San Jose, who David and I are rooting for to get into the playoffs because of Celebrini, the gifted young teenager for San Jose. It's getting tougher and tougher for the Sharks to make the playoffs. Do you know last night, David, I think he had his 42nd goal. And with that point, he's of teenagers, he is the 3rd most points in a season of any teenager in the league. The 2 guys that are ahead of him, just for the record, Gretzky and Crosby, and they count Gretzky's W, I guess. But I mean, that's good company, right?
Well, and very quietly, Connor Bedard has 200 points by the time he was 20 years old. He's only like the 13th player to ever do that in the history of the league. Okay. I mean, so yeah, listen, the league's in great shape. If Ovechkin is in fact spending his final week in the NHL, and the thought is that Sid's going to play a couple more. But if some of the legends are, Stamkos, if some of the legends, the thought is that they'll be done before the next Olympics. Let me tell you, first off, the whole McKinnon, McDavid, Kucherov era will take it just fine. Right. But man, oh man, the guys who are 18 to 20 years old in this league, wow. Stunning how good some of them are.
What is it? Snyder, the defenseman there for the Islanders, a hell of a good player. And I think there was one cool thing about the Olympics, David, is that if you follow, like I follow Detroit, I know Dylan Larkin's a really good player. The rest of the hockey world got to see this guy's pretty damn good. And Quinn Hughes. And I mean, some of these players that I think got notoriety in the Olympics, because, who watches the Minnesota Wild regularly unless you're a Minnesota Wild fan?
Right.
And they had 2 guys that were huge contributors in winning that gold medal for the Olympics. And that's where I think the game got the bump. And it doesn't even get into the whole Canadian team, which has, a gazillion great players. So it certainly helped. The TV numbers have been up. And, well, we've been saying it for a while. There's really only one thing that we watch on television anymore. It's live sports.
And along
And it
those
seemingly doesn't matter what sport, David.
And along those lines, the men's final ratings came in. And even though the game was not on CBS, the game did just under 19 million. On Turner, yeah, they've never aired a sporting event that had that many people watching before. So great tournament ratings for both the men and the women. And you're right, Mark. I mean, right now, hell, if I was running one of these big three, big four networks, do you take on ESPN and just go all sports? It's the only damn thing people are watching.
You know, that's not as bizarre as it seems. Starting 5 next.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating
The
needs.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Paula, I'm being nice because I don't think it was the Michigan alumni base. I think it was all the Walmart Wolverines. So you get me going on Michigan. It's just, I'm glad I did the blood pressure before the show because after your comments, it goes up. Not gonna lie. And you're the one that decided to go back to Michigan when it's still the chance of a snowstorm. That is totally on you. Adam, it made the bad yesterday. I was upset you weren't with us in the pro hour. It made the show. I needed you for backup. I mean, that one I'll believe you on. Your Masters, I've got a tent thing. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I'm aware, Paula. Like most of the fans of that horrific place. I mean, she doesn't even suck. She swallows. And by she, I'm talking about Ann, Ann Arbor. So I'll let you guys go nuts on me. But it's gin and tonic day. So I've got 4 cocktails up. And I didn't go martini, Cosmo, and things like that. I just because of gin and tonic, I tried to make them a little more of a mixed drink. And I probably should change it to mixed drink. But gin and tonic, margarita, Jack and Coke, vodka, soda. Because that's now everybody's on the Atkins diet and drinks vodka sodas, even though it doesn't taste like anything other than booze. Outstanding, Javier. I get it all the time. All the time.
Me too, bro. I used to give my dad a lot of dudes back in the day.
I never called Fred dude. He'd hit me. There's not a doubt in my mind. And he never really hit me.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. 8 a.m. Eastern hour. We'll talk plenty of football. Antwan Staley, who covers the Jets. They have 2 picks in the first half of the first round. And we'll talk some Texans. Where are they going to go? What is it they can get their hands on that's going to take them from being good, make the playoffs, win a playoff game? They could do that 3 years in a row. But what's going to take them into late January or possibly February? So we'll talk some Jets and some Texans and their division rivals coming up in a little more than an hour. Right now it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
Brought to you by one of the 5 fastest growing counties in Florida, Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. Masters ceremonial tee shots by Nicklaus, Player, and Watson coming up in 40 minutes time, 7:20 a.m. Eastern. 91 players in the field, 17 of them are former champions. Will one of them win again? Or will it be a newcomer? Miller and Moulton will make our picks next hour. Did you hear what the chairman of Augusta, Fred Ridley, had to say yesterday?
I
he
did
made
not.
his State of the Masters, State of Augusta speech. Mark, very strong comments about, we got to dial back the golf ball. And he said, by the way, I say this having nothing to do with the Masters in Augusta. He goes, we think doing all we can, and we've stayed on top of it. I mean, I think they even, isn't 17 longer this year? I mean, they every year there's like 1 to 4 holes that they've made adjustments to. But Fred Ridley goes, we are completely in favor of what the USGA and the RNA want to do in rolling back the golf ball. Now, he said it looks as if now that's not going to happen until maybe 2030. But he stated his reasons, and it was, I think, the strongest public comments that someone has made about why it is that the ball should be dialed in. Fred Ridley's comments, if you didn't hear them, go find them, read them from yesterday. Very well spoken about it, whether you agree or not. 3 games in the NHL, as Mark mentioned last segment, but one of them not good for Tampa Bay. The Sabres technically move into first place in the division by beating the Rangers 5-3. They scored 3 in the third to win. Now they've played one more game than Tampa, but they're 2 points ahead of the Lightning. Lightning in Montreal tonight, who they're tied with. Sabres back in action at home, and it won't be easy because Columbus is fighting for their playoff lives. Columbus needs the game much more than Buffalo. So, a lot of key games tonight. Panthers at Senators, huge game for Ottawa. Philly and Detroit.
Big game for Philly.
Yeah, huge game for Detroit. Wings probably have to win out. All right. And second place on the line between Minnesota and Dallas. Dallas leads by 2 points. They host the Wild tonight. The Caps, mathematically still alive. They're 3 points back. They have 3 games to play. They shut out Toronto on the road 4-0. Edmonton moves into first place. McDavid with a hat trick. McDavid showed Celebrini, listen, kid, you're good. You're good. You've got a bright future. This is what the best player in the league looks like. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Okay. You may be top 10 right now, but this is what the best player in the game looks like. Just remember this for off-season workouts. Hat trick by Connor, 5-2, Edmonton. 7 games in the NBA. Magic, too little too late to get out of the play-in. I don't know. They've moved up to the 7 seed. They're just a half a game behind Toronto for the 6. Magic with another win at home by 12 over the T-Wolves, who are now locked in as the 6 seed out west. By the way, the 10 teams out west, the 6 that are in the, quote, playoffs are locked in. The 4 that are in the play-in are locked in. And Phoenix is essentially the 7, and Golden State's essentially the 10. So the Clippers and the Blazers are basically playing to decide who's 8 and who's 9. And then seeding amongst the top 6, but even that's beginning to play itself out. Cleveland, in a good one, beat the Hawks 122-116. Cavs right now are the 4 seed, a half a game behind the Knicks. Hawks are a 5 seed, but they're only a half a game ahead of Toronto. If these 2 teams hold, they would play each other in the first round of the playoffs. Hats off to the Thunder. They have the best record in the league. They clinched it last night with a win in LA against the Clippers, 128-110. They have the best record in the league. The road to the title goes through the defending champions, figuratively and literally. Clippers right now are the 8 seed, a game ahead of Portland, who lost in San Antonio 112-101. Blazers are the 9. The Spurs locked in as the 2. Phoenix locked in as the 7, beat Dallas by 5. Denver's won 10 in a row. Jokic had his 34th triple-double of the season. He's also clinched that he will finish the year averaging a triple-double. So what is it? Jokic, Westbrook, and Oscar Robertson? The 3
Correct.
players who have, for a season, averaged a triple-double. Nuggets right now are the 3 seed by a game and a half. Detroit beat Milwaukee 137-111. By the way, Doc Rivers gave an interview yesterday. Don't be surprised if Doc Rivers retires. Of course, he may do that 10 seconds before they fire him, but because Milwaukee looks as if they're the most dysfunctional franchise in the league. So probably the final few days for Doc Rivers coaching and for Giannis as a Buck. Cade Cunningham made his return with a double-double last night for the Pistons. That's great news for Detroit. Get him back, get him in some semblance of shape. All right, good for the Pistons. Baseball. Cubs took 2 of 3 from the Rays, 6-2. Conine with a 2-run homer, so the Marlins could pull away from the Reds, 7-4. Diamondbacks with 4 in the second, beat the Mets 7-2. Second straight Giants shutout of the Phillies, 5-0. Devers with a homer and 4 RBIs. Braves beat the Angels 8-2. This is a pretty harsh penalty by Major League Baseball. The standard suspension is 5 games. Major League Baseball suspended Ronaldo Lopez and Jorge Soler. Lopez, the pitcher of the Braves, Soler, the hitter for the Angels. They each got 7 games for that melee 2 nights ago. Now, Lopez did punch Soler with the baseball in his hand, but anytime they go above 5, that's Major League Baseball.
Soler came out like a crazed man. I mean, that was, he didn't punch the way he looked because they were very, playground girl fighting punches. I mean, there wasn't a straight punch thrown. He was just flailing arms, but his attitude before he flailed was really impressive.
Okay. Not to overanalyze a brawl, but Mark, don't you have to attack the mound, okay, like a crazed man? Because you're going to have 1 to 2.5 seconds before you get tackled. So, I mean, to me, you've got to sprint out to the mound to get a punch or 2 in. Because then you're just going to end up face down in the dirt.
I'm looking back. Who was the big pit? And not Nolan Ryan. What's his name? Is it Funderburk? Or you know who I'm talking about? He had a great takedown of a guy coming at him there. But typically, first off, you don't slap. I mean, he fought like a girl. I'm sorry. And he's a big dude. He's a scary dude. Go back and look at how he threw punches. He threw them like a girl. Your only move to me when you're the hitter charging is to put a good form tackle on the quarterback and then try to get one in.
I think you're talking about Farnsworth with the takedown.
Yes, Farnsworth. Thank you very much. Great takedown. But I mean, the 2 best takedowns I've seen are his and obviously Nolan Ryan, the pitchers. I'm trying to think of a great move by a hitter charging the mound.
There have been great moves by catchers taking down the hitters charging their pitchers. But that's Kyle Farnsworth, for those who don't know. Braves beat the Angels 8-2. Blue Jays snapped their 6-game losing streak and the Dodgers' 5-game winning streak with a 4-3 win. Sad news out of Los Angeles. Davey Lopes. And for those of a certain age, the famous Dodgers infield for nearly a decade of Garvey at first, Lopes at second, Bill Russell at short, and Ron Cey at third. Lopes was part of 4 Dodgers World Series teams, including the one in 81 that finally won. Davey Lopes was 80. A's scored in the 9th, beat the Yankees 3-2. Boston, second straight win over the Brewers. Sonny Gray took a shot in the 7th, 5-0. Baltimore swept the White Sox 5-3. Texas swept Seattle 3-0. Colorado swept Houston 9-1. What in the wide world of sports is going on?
They're 6-6.
I know. Only need 51 more wins for the over? Way to go, boys. Way to go. What's that? 51-99. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, boys. Cardinals. All right, Jordan Walker, homer in 3rd straight game. They beat Washington 6-1. What in the world's going on with your Tigers? What are they, 4-8?
4-8, and Played a
And-
team that doesn't score and got shelled.
I was going to say, Skubal gives up 4 in the 5th 2 nights ago and loses. Alvarez gives up 6 in the 1st. The Twins batted it around, for goodness sake. Twins held off the Tigers 8-6. Cleveland 10-2 over the Royals. And finally, Padres beat the Pirates 8-2. They're 6-6 on the year. But the Pirates made it official. They signed the 19-year-old phenom, Connor Griffin, 9 years, $140 million. He gives up 3 years of free agency. 3 years of free agency. Of course, he gets to renegotiate a new contract at the ripe old age of 28. But he's guaranteed $140 million. It's the most money the Pirates have ever given anybody. NFL
Part of that
drafts.
Pirate team, best division in baseball right now, David. Everybody in the NL Central 500 or better. That's what we expected.
Right. NFL drafts 2 weeks from today. All right. And some Gators news. They signed the number 7 overall 2027 recruit, a big offensive lineman from Pennsylvania, Maxwell Hiller. He verbally commits to the Gators, cancels visits to Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Ohio State. That's a nice little feather in Sumrall's cap early in his regime. And finally, Mark, you and I will be watching Frozen 4, 5 o'clock tonight on ESPN2, Wisconsin and North Dakota, 8:30 tonight, Denver and Michigan. The Big Ten with 2 chances to add the men's hockey title on top of their football, men's basketball, women's hockey, and wrestling national championships.
And don't look now, UCLA is the number 1 team in college baseball.
And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5 big stories you needed to know, courtesy of Lee County, Florida, using that tried and true method to build a better community of BST, business, sports, and tourism. So there you go.
All right, David, it's poll question time.
All right.
We can put, we can go Masters in a couple different ways. You can go, will, 10 under be, do you need to go better than 10 under for the win? Over, under,
Right.
9.5 under if you want to do something like that. How much of the Masters are you going to watch just to gauge our listeners' interest in the tournament? But it is National Gin and Tonic Day. And there was a time that was the drink of choice. I mean, if you were drinking a cocktail in, I would say, the late 80s, but specifically the early 90s, the gin and tonic was the drink. So I am stacking it up against others. I'm willing during the break to take texts and comments to amend this. But right now I've got gin and tonic, margarita, Jack and Coke, vodka soda. I can be swayed on any of these.
Okay. So you go vodka soda over vodka orange juice.
Yes.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Core-Tech and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
CBA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com, capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You know, you're right, Governor. It was. I don't know if it still is. I get that old fashioned's more of a cocktail. I mean, if you look at the drinks I've got on here, guys, these are all basically mixed. I mean, they're really mixed drinks. An old fashioned is way above this. I get that you guys like old fashions. I do too. I love them. But gin and tonic, margarita, Jack and Coke, vodka soda, those are all mixed drinks. They're all, you know, an old fashioned's a cocktail. I mean, it's in a whole different class. I mean, if we're going to do that, it would be old-fashioned, martini, or espresso martini, because those are really popular right now. I mean, that's a whole different thing. I'm kind of going mixed drinks here. In fact, I'm even naming it that. Oh, God. In Moscow Mules, are they still? I need a little help there because I'm not. They were very popular, you know what, 5 years ago? I even got the damn stupid mugs, but I've not seen a whole, you know, I would say a mojito. Maybe that goes on there. Instead, you know, I got margarita. You could go mojito, but margaritas still seem to be incredibly popular. And more people are drinking them correctly, which means on the rocks. I mean, I was just kind of going, you know, for you could go 7 and 7 if you want to. At the theater. Thank you, Jay. Love you going gin and juice. Jay, you know I'm appreciative of that.
I knew so many bartenders that got so mad when Gin and Juice, the song, got popular and people would come in and start ordering that. They're like, that's not a drink.
Vodka sodas from the 50s, someone says. I don't know if they've been to a bar recently. Yeah, I'm, you know, Nelsky, you're right. 7 and 7, Jack and Coke. I think they're in the same category. I'm with you. I get it. Tim, Tanqueray and tonic is a gin and tonic, but thank you for that. Sky, wow. Speaking of the 70s called Ocala Chris.
Now I'm just thinking about my grandparents.
What, scotch and soda?
Yeah, my grandfather was J&B old fashioned, don't muddle the fruit. And my grandmother was a vodka gimlet, which is basically vodka.
Yeah. It's a martini with a touch of lime juice.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My grandmother introduced my mother-in-law when we went on the family cruise together 15 years ago. She introduced her to a vodka gimlet, and my mother-in-law was not a big drinker, but she took 2 sips of that. She turned and looked at my grandmother and said, "Oh, these are good."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's mean. Good for
That's-
her.
And my mother, my mother-in-law, and my grandmother were the 3 who stayed out the latest every night of the cruise. I had a great time.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Ceremonial tee shots at the Masters in 19 minutes. First tee shot of the Masters will be at the bottom of the hour. So we will have to make our picks here during the course of this hour. But I have a feeling, Mark, and listen, you control the text line, Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, 21,000 if you've never texted before. And I have a feeling you might get a few people who have never sent us a text before, because I think you brought up one of those topics that's going to elicit a huge response.
Alcohol?
but it's not beer. You know, it now we're talking drinks, and, you know, not an Alabama Slammer or a Long Island iced tea. You know, we're talking.
They're just 4 mixed drinks here. I mean, they're really, you know, it's, you know, I did a gin drink, a vodka drink. What's up now? I feel like he drank a whiskey drink. He drank a vodka drink. That horrible, god awful song that's now going to be in my head the rest of the day. Gin and tonic, margarita, Jack and Coke, vodka, soda. They're really mixed drinks. And I know a lot of you coming at me. What about an old fashioned? I mean, I didn't have martini on the list. You know, I didn't have old fashioned. And to answer David's question, because I didn't have enough time when you went vodka and orange juice, David, I guess I'm talking about something that's not for breakfast. You know, if we were to put breakfast drinks up there and you go Bloody Mary versus Screwdriver, I got you. I'm in. But I'm not drinking during the show. If it was during the show and you asked me to have a vodka drink, I would, you know, I'd have breakfast. I'd have a little vodka orange juice. But,
Gotcha.
you know, beyond breakfast,
Fair enough.
that's all. Just, you know.
Fair enough. Right.
But
Okay.
those are I went with the 4 that I said. You know, we could have put on a mojito. There are plenty of other drinks that are out there in Moscow.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I loved all your suggestions. I'm going with the 4 I picked because I didn't feel like retyping. Let's be brutally honest here. I got lazy on you.
Well, also they're simpler, more classic, right?
Yeah,
You know, we're going with
other
a
than the
vodka
margarita.
drink.
Yeah.
We're going with a vodka drink, a gin drink, you know. So give it a
But
shot.
when I think whiskey, I think Jack and Coke could have gone 7 and 7. I get it. But yeah, you beat me up on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, as many of you already are. You know, quoting Snoop Dogg with a little gin and juice. It's not really a drink, but knock yourself out. So it is National Gin and Tonic Day. Figured out, I don't know, probably 8 years ago. In fact, it was 8 years ago. We went up to my son's high school graduation, and we stopped in St. Augustine on the way. Made a 2-day trip out of it. And my wife and I ended up at the St. Augustine Distillery. Great little place, fun tour, nice day. And my wife, who said she hated gin, they literally asked the question, does anybody here dislike gin? Because they made their own gin. And I'm like, hitting her. And she sheepishly raises her hand. And they had a tonic syrup as opposed to the stuff you shoot out of the gun, which is god awful. And they made the drink with this tonic syrup and then soda water. And all of a sudden she's like, well, I like this. And now my wife, her booze of choice is gin. My wife's first choice for a drink is a real martini. For those of you that say a vodka martini, when you have to add a word to a drink, is it still the drink? A martini is gin, kids. That's what goes in a martini. So that's my public service announcement for the day. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And ladies and gentlemen, he went Letterman there. Okay. He called us kids. All right. Well, there you go. You could tell the subject really hits home. Okay.
Well, and I haven't had a drink in a long time, David. And I wouldn't mind one. Got to be honest with you.
And you're not going to for a
No.
little while longer. Yeah. Mhm.
No, probably about 9 months for sure.
Right.
So
So,
we'll get there
yes.
one day. Don't worry. It's just a
Oh.
sabbatical. It's not a retirement.
Right. Right. I mean, this is you went in for the rotator cuff, and then during the rehab you blew out your Achilles. So you're going to miss 2 seasons, okay, instead of 1. That's all this is. Look at it that way. Okay, still plenty of seasons left though. And when you come back, you are going to be healthy. Okay, that's the other. Everything will have been repaired. Just look at it that way. That's all.
I like it. I like your
Pitcher
style.
You just needed 2 years to get 100%. No sense coming back pitching 10, 12 games in a season, and then blowing it out again.
Now,
So,
we
that's
could
all.
put a master's question up there, David.
We could.
I don't know if we go, over under 9.5 under.
How about we go 10.5?
Okay.
No?
Sure.
If we're picking a number, okay, for under par. Lately, you've had to go over. Lately, it's gotten in the 11 to 13 range. All right. I think 10 will be good enough this year, but pick a number, go with it. Sure. Do you want to go with our trio that we came up with yesterday?
That's actually a better poll question. I like that better. The 3 top non-PGA Tour players versus the 3 betting favorites that are on tour. Rory,
Right.
Scheffler, Xander Schauffele is
Right.
the PGA team.
Right.
Bryson, John Rahm, and Patrick Reed are the non-PGA team.
Right.
If you were just going to do combined score of the 3, who would win?
Now, let me ask you this. If the one group has a better combined score, but the other group has the winner, who wins?
Everybody gets a car. You get a car, and you get a car.
No, seriously. Is the winner the tiebreaker? The winner, even if the other 2 miss the cut, okay, I'm just curious. Or are we just going with cumulative score?
Well, I mean, the way I just said it was cumulative score. If you
Okay.
want to ask the question, which group is the more likelihood to get the winner, then that's a separate question. And I have no
Okay.
problem with that. But they are,
All right.
I mean, to me, they're 2 completely different questions. And
Okay.
I don't care which way we go. I loved the question yesterday. Whit Watson loved the question yesterday. I had the assumption that when you were talking about which threesome would do the best. Now, if you were talking winner,
Okay. We'll go
I still
cumulative
like
score.
by the way, if we're talking winner, I still like the live guys.
Interesting. So, right, frame it however you want. Score or, more likely the winner to come out of what group, whichever way you go. That's fine. Not trying to be a downer here. I'm really not. So they're teeing off in 11 minutes. It's Jack, it's Gary Player, and it's Tom Watson. Jack's 86, Gary Player's 90. And for one reason or another, I mean, Player seems as if he'll be flexible enough to swing that club for as long as he's breathing. Jack could barely get the club back. I don't know how much longer Jack swings the club on the first tee, to be honest with you.
Boy, you had me nervous there with that, David, because I thought you were really going to go which one's going to make it longer. I'm betting on Player, even though he's 4 years older.
I'm just saying, though, that, let's just say by the end of the decade that Watson, for one reason or another, is the only one who's able to participate in the ceremonial tee shot. Who do you join him with? Because let's face it, I mean, for goodness sakes, they had Snead, Sarazen, and Nelson when they started this sucker. Okay. And then for the longest time, I mean, the big 3 of, Jack, Arnie, and Gary. I mean, until Tiger or Phil get in this ceremonial tee shot, this trio is not going to have the status that the two trios before them had. But I'm just curious, first off, you can't have somebody who's still playing. How much longer is Couples going to keep playing the sucker? He's in his mid-60s. Okay, but he only won it once. I know it's Freddie Couples. Everybody loves him. But, I mean, do you think they're going to put a guy who only won this tournament once in the ceremonial tee shot?
I can think of one guy that's won a couple that I think would be the next guy.
Faldo?
No. And he's got 3, right?
Right.
No, Crenshaw. Talk about beloved. I mean,
beloved.
Beloved.
Yes, he is. He basically runs the Champions Dinner now. He's like the spokesperson of the Champions Dinner. Yes. Fred Ridley basically handed that off to him. So I think Faldo is 3.
Right. But not beloved.
Yeah, but
No.
Hey, listen,
I'm just saying, if the next guy were Crenshaw or Faldo, who do you think gets it?
Crenshaw, also because he's 10 years older. And they would be like, well, if we're going to give it to him, let's give it to him now. But, I mean, don't you want this golfer? I mean, think about it. If you're in the ceremonial tee shot, you're not just a former champion. You're not just a Hall of Famer. I mean, there's been 6 men that have participated in this shot. I mean, they're all some of the 15 greatest golfers of all time. Unfortunately, you're not going to put somebody in that list until you put Tiger or Phil on that tee who's going to qualify as one of the 15 greatest golfers of all time. And who knows if they'll ever put Phil on that tee now.
Boy, David, you beat me to it. At the rate Phil's going, that's what I was literally going to ask you. Is Phil ever going to get that slot? I mean, Phil's got to calm the you-know-what down. He just keeps doing things that,
well, he's never
to
spoken
his
a bad word.
detriment.
He's never spoken a bad word about Augusta or the Masters.
I understand that, but I mean, he just seemingly, when he didn't show up the first year living. This year, I don't know what's going on, so I'm not even gonna guess, because it could be family reasons, could be a lot of reasons. But the not showing up thing, I think, is a big deal there.
Oh, I don't. I don't. If you can't play, you can't play. I don't. And, so we just disagree on that one. But I'm just curious, who do you think's next?
I think it's Crenshaw.
I'll guess Faldo.
Miller and Moulton. Boy, after that conversation, you know what I need? A drink.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Adam, until there's evidence that someplace in the golf community is actually going to turn on Tiger, I think that when Tiger, quote unquote, returns publicly to golf, that the PGA Tour will be lapdogs to him again. And that won't be the case with Phil ever again, probably. Well, if they're going to go a foreign player besides Player, they got to go Faldo. He won 3 of them, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that could be the next group. Crenshaw Fellow could be the next group until Tiger and Phil are ready, if you know what I mean. Pretty damn good weather for today. Highest
Good.
winds, they say, are like 13 miles an hour. So, I mean, that's 7 to 13 are the numbers they're given, and the
Good.
temperatures are great. So, someone's going to shoot 65 today.
You know? Rory also broke a streak. Wasn't it heading into last year? It had a big run. Basically, you had to be in the top 10 after the first round to win. And Rory did his damage on Friday and Saturday. And somebody asked earlier, Tom Kite. Tom Kite won one major, the 92 U.S. Open. He finished second to Tiger, though, by 12 in 97. He finished tied for second to Jack in 86 and second all alone in 97. He walked up to the microphone and said, well, I won my tournament.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. The Legends are on the tee at Augusta as we speak. Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Tom Watson hitting their ceremonial tee shots. And then the Masters scheduled to get underway officially in 9 minutes at the bottom of the hour. We'll make our picks for the Masters coming up next segment. I promised you something yesterday. Ready or not, I'm delivering on my promise. I promised you that I would go through the NHL standings and do it the way we, I believe, wish they were done, which is 3 points for a win, 2 points for a win post-regulation, either an overtime or a shootout, 1 point for an overtime or shootout loss, and obviously no points for a regulation loss. And as of the moment, and you got to remember, it's a little more volatile, obviously, 3 points for a win versus 2. There's no such thing as the 3-point night where both teams get points. That becomes a 4-point night, but it's, anyway. Okay. The teams in the playoffs are not drastically different. Seeding, however, is significantly different. Okay. In fact, right now, the 8 teams that would be scheduled to make the playoffs in the West would be the 8 teams that would make the playoffs if we went 3-2-1-0. However, we do have teams that are in the playoffs who have played 1 or 2 more games than those that are out. And when you can get 3 points for a win, you're more in contention than obviously if you can only get 2. Mark, the biggest surprise is in the East. The team that right now we're kind of patting on the head and saying, yeah, you're mathematically alive, but give me a break, is the Washington Capitals. Yeah, the Capitals would be in the playoffs. In fact, they'd be ahead of the Bruins. Now, that's the only team right now that would be in the playoffs in either conference than if they had but there's like no separation now in either conference. There's all these teams, separated by 2 to 3 points.
Well, and David, would the West be exactly the same? If I'm looking at this right, just, based on regulation wins, like 1 through 8, it would be like the wild cards would be like, I don't think there's any difference, is there?
I just said in the West, it's the same 8 teams.
No, I know it's the same 8, but is it in the same order is what I'm asking. I know it's the same 8. Would the order in the West change at all?
Well,
that's all I was asking.
Well, obviously, no. In the one division, Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, no, because it's Edmonton 2 points ahead of Vegas, who's a point ahead of Anaheim. And then, now if you did it 1 through 8, there are those that want the NHL. You don't. Right. I do. okay, who want the NHL to go back to how it was a generation ago, where 8 teams made it from each conference, but we did it by points and we seeded you 1 through 8 and go. Mark likes division rivalries. Okay, so he'd rather see you have to get out of your division. That would be very different out west.
Well, right,
And
but again, like the Mammoth and the Predators are in the same division as that really good division. So the wild cards would, and
Right.
and they've got the most wins. So that's all I was asking. I'm not.
for what it's worth, at the moment, the Buffalo Sabres would have the most points in the Eastern Conference. Now they've played one more game than both Tampa and Carolina, but for the moment, Buffalo would be the team you'd have to go through in the East. They'd be 2 points ahead of Carolina, 3 points ahead of Tampa Bay, for what it's worth. And Montreal, who right now is tied with Tampa and only 2 points behind Buffalo in the division, there'd be big separation with Montreal because they have so many fewer regulation wins.
Hold on, David. Help me out here. You said Carolina's ahead of Tampa because Tampa has 3 more regulation wins.
But Carolina would have 1 more point than Tampa right now.
Okay.
When I did the math, Carolina would have 142 points and Tampa would have 141.
Okay.
So, but that's, this is a totally different playoff format, but there are Gary Bettman does not want to change a thing, and nothing happens in the NHL unless Gary Bettman's on board. Nothing. And he's very stubborn. The whole league can be against him on something, but if Gary doesn't want something to happen, it doesn't happen. But for those, and we have a lot of hockey people who listen, who wonder, would think literally 15 of the 16 playoff teams today would be the same. And much of the positioning would also be the same. But there would be a lot more separation between the teams if we did the 3-2-1-0 playoff format. And Bettman, to his credit, says, yeah, that's a big reason why I don't want to do it. Look at how meaningful our games are here at the end of the regular season. If we go 3-2-1-0, we got a lot of separation. And now regulation wins were 3 points. You can make that up quickly. But so there's arguments on both sides. But at this moment in time, if you took a snapshot, there's not much difference.
And that's the problem with our theory here. I mean, to be brutally honest, this is something I first got involved in hockey in 1992, working with a pro hockey team. The head coach of the team that I worked for was in favor of this system then. Ken Double, who was our play-by-play broadcaster, and I was the color analyst when I first broke into the business, we would do this for Gene. He just wanted to see it. And it's like, Coach, don't know what to tell you. It's the same teams. And Miller and Moulton, and there are others that want this system, but this is a little pet project of Miller and Moulton. There is no groundswell even in the league to change it to this. There are a few people. I think Greg Wyshynski is like on our side, and he's the senior hockey writer for ESPN. There are people who think this is the right system, but there is no one that I've seen at the league level. I don't know if they have a competition committee, but you don't hear anything at NHL meetings about switching to this. The only thing you hear from players and management is to go to the 1-8 format. But as David stated, Gary Bettman wants nothing, and I mean nothing to do with it. He won't even listen. I mean, literally, I think the players would have to strike to get this changed because Bettman has no interest, none whatsoever.
Now, I wonder, first off, I wonder how much longer Bettman's going to do it. I mean, he's been commissioner since 93. I mean, at what point do you just want to go live your life? All right.
Great point.
But the NHL seems, Mark, hell-bent on expansion. And the question is whether it's going to be 2 or 4. And I'm wondering, once you start getting to 34 or 36, does that cause you to alter how you're going to do the playoffs? Bettman's also totally against the play-in idea. He's like, no, the play-in's the end of the regular season. So he's also seemingly against expanding the playoffs beyond 16 teams, even though he may add 2 to 4 more teams to his league here in the next handful of years.
Yeah, right. He has no interest in the plan, and it's worked in the end. I mean, you have to at least admit, I think, even if you don't like the NBA, the play-in for them's worked.
I agree. Yes. Yeah, sure. What do we like? Games with consequence. You lose, you're out. Huh? Okay.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Faro and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Faro and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Faro and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
EPA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and
The
tourism.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That I don't think they need a play-in ambient. I don't think and my Red Wings would get in a play-in right now. They don't deserve it. I'm all for just 8 teams. Why do we want to reward mediocrity? You seemingly like to, and you think the NBA works. I mean, look, they think it works, but Golden State's going to make the playoffs in the play-in. They're 5 games below 500? I mean, you've got the Heat at 3 games above 500 and the Hornets, who are 6 games currently above 500. They're playoff teams. Okay. Western Conference, you've got Golden State 5 games below 500 and a 500 Portland team that make the playoffs. I'm curious, Ambient. Do you watch the play-in games? I mean, is it something you look forward to and get excited? Because I've never watched a second of a play-in game.
I think I did a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Lakers, Golden State.
I don't know.
Thought I remember watching that. By the way, Caps in, Flyers out in the 3-2-1-0.
Would the Flyers then be a wild card? I mean, are you doing 1 through 8, or would they
No.
would be okay? Because I think the Caps wouldn't replace them as third in the division.
The Caps are 6 points ahead of the Flyers in the 3-2-1-0.
So would they be third in that division? That's all I'm asking.
Is Washington in that division?
Yes.
Then no, because it would be Carolina, Pittsburgh, Washington, I think.
Okay, so then the the Senators would be, the Flyers only have 25 regulation wins.
Right.
So, okay. All
No,
right.
actually, I'm sorry. It would be Carolina, Pittsburgh, Ottawa.
Right.
Okay.
So Ottawa would have more points than Washington? Yeah, that's right, because they've got one more. Okay, and then Washington would be a wild card with Boston?
Correct.
Okay. I'm still shocked that I mean, because I see I see 6 overtime losses for Carolina and 6 for Tampa, and yet you've got Carolina. That one, just looking at the numbers, didn't make sense to me.
So Tampa goes regulation wins 39, so that's 117. 9 wins outside of regulation, that's 18, so that's 135, and then 6 OTLs, that's 141. Carolina, 36 regulation, that's 108. 14 wins beyond regulation, that's 28. That gets them to 136. Then the 6 overtime losses, 142. So,
and by the way, Ambient, the year the Heat made the finals as a play-in team, they would have been a 7 seed. So it's not like they were a 9 or 10 and got to the finals. They would have been in the playoffs.
right, but the surprise was they lost the first play-in game and were trailing with 5 minutes to go in the second one.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Antwan Staley will join us then. We're going to start diving into the draft, which is 2 weeks from tonight in Pittsburgh. We're going to do that over the next dozen or so shows. I don't know. The NFL seems to do well in ratings and interest. So, we might as well spend some time talking about it. But the Jets are one of 5 teams with 2 first-round picks. In fact, both of theirs are in the first half of the first round. So we'll talk to Antwan Staley about the Jets, who are loaded up with picks. Like 4 of the first 45 this year, and they got 2 first-rounders next year. I mean, they got picks these next couple drafts. Now, we'll see what they can do with them. I know that's the Jets, so they'll screw it up, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? The Lions finally didn't screw it up. Eventually one of these teams does get it right. It really does happen. Sometimes it's a generation. Sometimes it's 2. Hell, in some cases, it's 3.
I am fascinated by the NFC North this year because who do you think, and I know we're going to do Masters picks here, but just quickly, when you look at the Vikings, the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers, which of those teams, I know we got to wait till the draft's over, but at this point in time, how many of those teams do you think are better than they were when they finished the season last year? By moves they've made and pickups, by who they've lost versus who they gained. Because I don't think Detroit is. Minnesota, I have a lot of question marks.
Well, the interesting thing to me about the Vikings is if they're playing someone other than J.J. McCarthy, how much better are they?
Right.
Okay, that you're right. The Vikings have suffered a loss here and there. Okay, lost a D lineman. Okay, they've lost an O lineman. They've suffered some losses. However, tough to play the position worse than J.J. McCarthy played it last year. I mean, I know it's Carson Wentz or Kyler Murray, but still, I mean, if the Vikings get the Carson Wentz who got fired in Indianapolis for winning 9 games, how many games will they win?
Well,
if they
and
just
I
get
think,
that guy.
hey, give me average Kyler Murray and they could win the division. I'm telling you.
Right. Carson
I'm
Wentz got
telling you.
fired, 27 TDs, 7 interceptions, and he got fired, okay, because the owner hated him.
But I don't think he's the starter to begin. I mean, Kyler Murray's the starter.
Okay.
I believe that. I truly believe that. I mean, do you not?
No. I
Okay.
think it's a crapshoot. I really do. But we'll see. And if it is, listen, I don't know. I've seen Kyler Murray play really well. I was also there when he blew out his knee, but I've seen him play really well, Mark. Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, whenever I see him, he plays well. Or he blows out his knee. There's no in between. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Here's the thing. Who were we talking about yesterday? Oh, was it Denver? And it was like, are they really going to be able to win all those one-score games that they won last year? Because it turned around on the Chiefs, who were perfect in 24 and were like 1-10 last year. Well, how much better do the Bears have to be? Because they won 6 games when they were trailing at the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
And they won a playoff game trailing at the 2-minute warning.
Right. But do you believe in the, is it just the fact, look we believe, and I'm not saying that Caleb's Mahomes. I'm not. But we just believed in Mahomes would figure out a way to win. Always.
Right.
Caleb, for all of his faults and his completion percentage, and there's a lot of ways you could point your finger at the bad with him. He seemingly knows how to win in the fourth quarter.
Well, he did last year for sure. He had the magic touch. There's no doubt. I'm just wondering, is that a 1-year thing? Is that a magic year? Was that his Mitch Trubisky 12-4 year? They called Don Majkowski 1 year in Green Bay the Magic Man.
Thank you.
Okay.
But I do like his coach. I think his coach is a really brilliant offensive mind. So
right. The Packers have had a lot more turnover than they normally have.
Exactly. The Lions offensive line that was really good 2 years ago has lost 60% of that line. I mean, there are holes in every one of those teams, David. Every one.
And all 4 teams finished above 500 last year. What's the likelihood of that happening this year?
Bingo.
Now, the Vikings had to win their last 5 games, I think, to get to 9-8, but still.
So it's...
I hear you. I hear you. I could see, like you mentioned, that right now, the National League Central, all 5 teams are above 500. When you look at the NFC North, just, if we put up a poll question, okay, which one of these teams is going to finish 4th? Okay, and underneath it, we put in parenthesis, and below 500.
Right.
You can make the case for all 4. So, yeah, I'm with you. It's fascinating. It is. So we're going to focus on the draft. Antwan Staley with the Jets and then John Harris with the Texans because they're in an interesting place. They're good enough to win between 10 and 13 games. If not win the South, then get to the playoffs and win a wild card game. But they can't get past the division round. And they're not even really competitive in the division round either. When they get there, they lose by 2 or more scores. So how do they go from good / very good on their best day, ... to Super Bowl contender?
So, that's another division. Jacksonville had a great year last year. Houston ended up having a really good year last year. Indianapolis was having a great year until Daniel Jones got hurt. So it's another, Tennessee's got to be better, right? I mean, they're not going to be a contender, but they're not going to be an automatic 2 wins if you're in that division. That to me, I mean, I'm way too early to start getting this fired up about the NFL. But with the draft a couple weeks away, and I printed out a bunch of draft stuff yesterday, reading through it, I'm getting the itch, David. I'm getting the itch.
I can tell, as the late Marty Schottenheimer once said, Mark, I look at you and you have a gleam. There's a gleam, men. Go get the gleam, and you've got it.
Right. And as much as I love the Oregon tight end, David, so it looks like day 2 and day 3, there's a lot of good tight ends. So I may be recanting on my trading up for him. Although I think he's one of the only first-round players that has the potential to be someone one day that wears a gold jacket.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. All right. I think we need to make 2 picks.
Okay.
And by the way, the Masters is underway. Haitong Lee, along with the designated, what do they call him? Marker, Johnny Kiefer. Okay, they teed off 6 minutes ago. The Masters is underway. Kataoka, Max Homa, Carlos Ortiz are loosening up on the first tee right now. So, 2 picks, your favorite pick, and then a betting long shot. We have to define, however, is that 40 to 1 or greater, 50 to 1 or greater? What is a betting long shot?
Well, you could make it whatever. I'll defer to you here, but I can tell you that I would satisfy. No, I wouldn't. I think 40 to 1's fine. I'm fine with 40 to 1.
So, okay, we're going 40 to 1. Now, of course, I have to look and see if my long shot pick qualifies or whether or not I'm really going to pull a true Moulton here and define what the terms are and then do something that's not within the terms.
Will you please make both picks before you look? Come on, it's more fun that way. And I'll let you recant your long shot pick if it doesn't qualify. I've got the odds in front of me. I know who my picks are. So go.
All right. My pick to win is Rahm. Okay. My long shot pick is Justin Rose.
Justin Rose at 22.5 to 1. Doesn't come close to qualify.
Man.
I knew that's who you were going to pick. That's why I didn't let you do it. You are hilarious, David. So take your time, find a pick while I go through mine.
I thought earlier in the week he was 40 to 45 to 1. So I don't know if he's been bet down or not, but all right.
22.50. So
Unbelievable.
I am taking Patrick Reed. It's been in my head all week. I think Xander Schauffele's a safer play, but I have just got this feeling he's playing well. He loves that course, and it's the one course that he could play right now in the U.S. where they're not going to give him crap. He's not the most liked guy, but here's the thing. At Augusta, they like everybody. They may root for a player. If he's coming down the stretch with somebody else, they may root for the other player more than they root for Patrick Reed, but they won't root against him like they would if it were an Open Championship or hell, the Wells Fargo, for crying out loud. So that's my pick to win. And Akshay Bhatia is my long shot at 60 to 1.
That's so funny. Because upon further review, I had narrowed it down to 2 guys, and he was one of them. Let me go with Greg Knapp. Jake Knapp.
Jake Knapp. You can take Greg Knapp too, but I don't think he's going to do much.
No, his odds, talk about a long shot. That's Greg Knapp. Okay. But I got 65 to 1 here for Jake Knapp. I don't know what you got. I'll go with what you have.
No, 75 to 1.
Okay. So what are you getting for Bhatia?
60.
Jake Knapp, 75. You've got Reed. I've got Rahm. Okay.
So
Last 4 champions are what? Scheffler, Rahm, Scheffler, Rory. The last 4. Boom, 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 boom. So, all right.
And I've got, a comment already going, let's see who they root for if it's these two in a playoff. Again, I don't know if you listened to what I said. I didn't say they're going to be rooting for Reed. At Augusta, they don't root against players. It is a different crowd. If you're at the U.S. Open, they will openly root for one guy and boo the other. At the British Open, I think if it was if it was Patrick Reed against Justin Rose, my God, they might heckle him in his backswing.
I was going to say, they might be carrying Rose down the fairways. They'd be so behind him.
Right. But they don't root against people at Augusta National. That's all.
Although
my other pick, I like McIntyre, but I just don't like his history at that course.
Right. It's not that great. What's it like? Best finished T12, something like that?
In his first one, and he's not even qualified twice. He missed the cut last year. He's playing great. And I love the idea of a guy that played well and didn't win heading into the Masters. So we'll take your picks. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. Did get some comments on the play-in. We were talking about the play-in game and, whether hockey should go to it. This gentleman says, I hate the idea of a play-in. You had 80-plus games to do this, and you didn't. And he said, this is coming from a Maple Leafs fan. So...
Well, I could, sir, after the level of hockey you've seen this year, I could see where you can't stand one more minute of seeing your team this year. My goodness. I understand.
So I'm with, I don't want to play in hockey.
No,
I don't like rewarding mediocrity. I don't.
No, I don't either. Even though you could argue it's worked in the NBA, but I don't like it in hockey because the point system in hockey, there's so many teams so close together. I think you've had plenty of time and plenty of opportunities to play your way in, quite frankly. NBA wants to do load management and not play hard. That's on them. That's not what hockey's dealing with. So, no, I'm not in favor. That as it is, they're going to expand the regular season next year. They're going to go from 82 games to 84 in the NHL. They're going to play 2 more regular season NHL games next year. It's why the season's going to start in September. September 29th, I think, are the first games next year.
Unbelievable.
I know.
By the way, David, every once in a while, you and I get jealous of one another for just stupid things. This isn't jealousy towards you. It's jealousy towards my son. He has been my caregiver this week at Hope Lodge, and it's been a great week. I've not seen him in a while, so we're spending all day, every day together, which is just fantastic.
Awesome.
And one of his jobs is to get me breakfast. And
right.
I asked for breakfast at a specific time, and he now has hit it. I want it right before this break because I can knock down breakfast in the break. And that's not at all what I'm jealous about. He's young. He's 26 years old. You can fall right back asleep when you're 26. He literally gets up, goes downstairs, toasts my bagel, puts peanut butter on it, brings a banana up, and then that no good SOB goes right back to bed and falls asleep. Drives me absolutely nuts. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
By the way, I was wrong. They changed it up. Remember, they had 30 threesomes and then Hatong Lee. They decided, I guess Kiefer's a regular dude, a tour pro, top 100 in the world. I guess at the end of last year was top 50 in the world. So they took a threesome and made it a twosome a little after 11 o'clock. So I guess they're going 29 threesomes, 2 twosomes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think the marker is just on the weekend, David, if there's an odd number.
Gotcha.
By the way, Paramount does have extended Masters coverage, like the ESPN Plus. You can watch the featured groups and stuff beginning at 10 a.m. Because my kid just checked, and then when he found out it wasn't until 10, he just went back to bed.
But Masters.com I thought was 8:30.
Yeah, Masters on the range. It's all everything's off air right now on Masters.com.
Working on the guest now.
Okay.
No, not Amazon. Not until 1, PJ. Sorry to talk with my mouth full.
1 to 3 Amazon, 3 to 7 ESPN, 3 to the last shot of the day, 7:30.
But Paramount at 10 a.m. 8:30 if you want to watch guys hit range balls. Oh, it's on ESPN Plus too, baby Jules? Okay. I did not know that.
Got Antwan.
Great.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home in Jacksonville and Tampa St. Pete. Final hour of the show in the 239 Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Venice area, Live Oak Lake City and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Antwan Staley has been really good to us over the years, no matter where he's working. He's been with the New York Daily News for a while, covering not just the NFL, but with a priority on the New York Jets. You can follow Antwan on X at Antwan Staley, Staley. Antwan, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How you been?
I'm all right. How y'all doing?
Well, we are doing fine. You're obviously busy. The Jets, one of 5 teams with multiple first-round picks, and maybe the most intriguing because they have both of them in the top half of the round. Is it obvious what they have to do or no?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think what they can do, they're in a position where, they have so many holes and needs on their team that they can just go best available player, whatever they pick, basically. Like 2, I think 2 is maybe a little bit obvious for most people. It seems like it's going to be either Arvell Reese or David Bailey. I know it's we'll talk about Ruben Bain at one point in time, but considering the way the Jets defense is going to be constructed this upcoming year with, multi-looks and everything like that, it seems like, Bailey and Bailey and Reese, are going to be the guys there. And then at 16, it seems like that's a little bit more open for debate there. I think that can go a lot of different directions there, although it seems like receiver might be the best direction for them. But obviously, a lot of people have been talking about Ty Simpson and their visit with him last month, too, as well. But I would be surprised if they end up picking a quarterback in the first 2 picks there. They also have picks in number 33 and also 44 in the second round, too. So, they have a lot of flexibility this upcoming draft for sure.
Antwan, when you look at pick 33, if you were the Jets and wanted Simpson, would you be more inclined to package 33 with something, on day 2 or hopefully day 3 to try to get up a spot or 2 into the late first round? Or would you just sit patiently and say, hey, if Simpson comes to me with pick 33, I'm taking him?
I probably wouldn't take Ty Simpson at all, like at 33. I'm not the biggest fan of any of the quarterbacks in this particular draft outside of Mendoza. So, like at 33, I probably would, honestly, like if they don't have a 3rd round pick. So for them, like I would package it just maybe to move down there, especially considering you already got another pick at 44. Maybe you acquire a, more picks there too as well. Because again, we talked about the Jets team that finished 3-14 last year. Was not good on either side of the football there. And I imagine there's going to be some guys that's going to slip to the 2nd round this upcoming year. And you might have a few teams that want to move up to that 33rd spot. And maybe you can accumulate another pick as well.
For those of us on the outside, it seems as if the head coach is getting all of the negativity. One, is that deserved, or should some of this also shift to the general manager? I mean, he was the one that made the decision. They've traded away a lot of good players to acquire these picks, but he's the one who's part of making the decision to trade away these good players, right?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I would defend the Jets in this instance. Like, well, they were 0-7 with Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams last year too, so it wasn't necessarily like they were doing a whole they were just this different team with those guys. So I think they saw an opportunity there. They had some teams that acquired about a few players, and they decided to make the move there, especially considering the season was over at that point with the deadline. So I think it was a smart move in that sense there. I mean, obviously they did sign Sauce Gardner to a contract extension last summer, but if somebody wants to offer you that many first round picks, I think everybody's tradable at this point in time. So I don't think it's necessarily on Darren Muji. I think a lot of people look at Aaron Glenn and just some of the decision making that he made last year, just on and off the field there, whether it be combative with particular media members or just saying his verbiage, or also just some of the in-game decisions there. I'm not saying he should be on the hot seat, but it is kind of perceived that he will be on the hot seat this upcoming year, simply because if they don't take a quarterback in 26, which it seems like at least they won't early on, you're going to want somebody, if they end up having a losing record next year, you're going to want somebody that can groom the young quarterback potentially there that you may take in 27, which is expected to be a really good golden class of quarterbacks. So, yeah, I mean, I don't make the rules there. I'm not saying Aaron Glenn should be on the hot seat, but, it is perceived that he is going to be on the hot seat unless they make some kind of significant turnaround this upcoming season.
From what I'm seeing and reading, and a couple of the people I trust, they don't think that there's a lot of wide receiver ones in this draft. With that second first round pick, who's got to be there, in your opinion, for the Jets to take a receiver and maybe not go in another direction? Because I think there will be good, if you and I'm with you on Simpson for what it's worth. If I've got pick 33, I'm pretty damn sure, or even at pick 44, I'm pretty sure I can get a good wide receiver too. To you, who's got to be there at 16 to take a receiver?
I think I like the receiver draft. Now it is debate that maybe, it may not be top flight, number one receivers like a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or anything like that. But, I think Tyson from Arizona State there, I know there's been some questions about his injury history there. I think that's a possibility if he ends up falling to 16 there. I think he potentially could be the best receiver in the whole entire draft. It's just, like I say, it's a lot of injury concerns there in regards to him. Tate from Ohio State, I probably don't think he's going to fall that far, but if it's a chance that he does, then yeah, you definitely want to run up to the podium and turn your card in too as well. I'll throw another guy out there too as well. I think Chris Bell from Louisville. I think it was going to be a first round pick too until he tore his ACL late November last year, and he's probably going to slip around to now. And if the Jets, if he's there at 33, I think that's not necessarily a bad pick for the Jets too as well, because you got to get some weapons around Garrett Wilson. I mean, he was out for 10 games last year, and he was still your leading receiver in terms of yards. So that shows you how depleted the receiving core was for the Jets last year too as well. I know Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji love the receiving core that they have, but they got to upgrade that for sure. There against Tino Smith and the rest of that offense, a lot of help.
Antwan Staley covers the Jets in the NFL for the New York Daily News. Follow him on X at Antwan Staley, Staley. No team has spent more draft capital this decade so far on the offensive side of the ball, top-end draft capital, than the Jets. And yet we look at their offense and we still shake our head. They've missed on so many top offensive guys. We all have discussed the quarterback. How's the offensive line? They've spent, 2-3 first-round picks this decade on offensive linemen, and none of them are still there? I mean, how is the line?
The offensive line, I think now is really good. I mean, you look at the last couple of years with Olu Fashanu, they ended up drafting him in 24. Like, he's still there going into this third year. They, drafted Amon Membu, who last year, who I thought was one of the better rookies in the NFL last year. You look at in the past, like you talk about Elijah Vera Tucker, and they've had mostly first round picks before, so they've been in position. Like in 21, they end up having multi picks there too as well with Zach Wilson and also Elijah Vera Tucker. Neither are one on the team anymore. And then you look at 22 when they end up getting Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, and Jermaine Johnson all in the first round. Only Garrett Wilson remains on the team too as well. So they've had a lot of talent. They've had, like you said, a lot of picks there early on. And it's just, hasn't worked out for whatever reason, whether they traded those players or those players just didn't, work out, in terms of, the production on the field there. So, yeah, just because it just shows to show you just because you have a lot of picks in the first round doesn't necessarily mean it's going to amount to anything. So, but the Jets have to make sure it amounts to something this upcoming year, because otherwise then you're going to be in that exact same position where, you end up moving on maybe from your coach and, end up your general manager years from now. So, yeah, you got to make those picks work, because in the past, like the last 5 years, like you said, they've had a lot of picks there, but, don't necessarily have stuck other than Garrett Wilson, who seems like he's the only one that's still left there for those draft classes.
There were already people, during the year calling for Aaron Glenn's head. We knew it wasn't going to happen, but does he have to finish ahead of the Dolphins to be safe this year? I mean, what do the Jets have to do this year for that organization to feel like this was a good year?
I mean, Jets. It depends on who you speak to. if you speak to Jet fans specifically, I think they would tell you they expect to make the playoffs, which I don't think that's likely to happen. Especially considering, like I say, again, they have a lot of holes there, and obviously Geno Smith is coming off a tumultuous this year with the Raiders. There, some of it is his fault, some of it is not. I think they just need to show marked improvement. Yeah, I do think they need to finish better than the Dolphins, a team that really, stripped their team bare, really roster-wise there. I mean, you look at, I think they're kind of what the Jets were a year ago, where they're kind of starting over with a new general manager, new coach there. And if the Dolphins finish ahead of you, especially with Malik Willis and all the questions that they have, then yeah, I think, it might be the coaching change in that sense too. But I think if you can finish from 6 to 8 wins and show just that marked improvement, and, be competitive with Buffalo and New England, because, those are two classes of the AFC East right now. And they got a tough schedule as far as opponents. I mean, I know the schedule isn't out, but the opponents that they face next year is really tough. So I think it's going to be difficult to make the playoffs, but I think this needs to show really improvement on the field there. And just last year, their last 5 games, they got blown out. They lost by 20 points or more in all 5 of them. They're the first team in NFL history to do so. Even if you look at the interceptions, like they had none. They were the first team in NFL history not to record an interception throughout the entire season. So, yeah, you just have to show some kind of marked improvement in those areas and try to get as much. I think you need to double the win total for Aaron Glenn to feel safe and maybe to come back for 27.
Antwan, as always, we appreciate your time and your insight. If you're heading to the draft, safe travels. Otherwise, be well, and hopefully we can catch up later on.
All right, sounds good. Y'all take it easy.
Antwan Staley, excellent writer and columnist, New York Daily News, covering the NFL with a focus on the Jets. Follow him on X at Antwan Staley, Staley. Think about those last 2 stats he threw at us. First team in NFL history not to record an interception in a 17-game season. And lost the last 5 games by 20 or more points. No team had ever done that before. There's been a lot of bad teams in the NFL in the last 5 weeks of that year. The league is basically saying, you guys are the worst we've ever had.
That's saying something. I mean, it really is. By the way, self-proclaimed barbecue snob, and part of that reason is he went to East Carolina, which may have 3 of the best barbecue joints in the state within 15 minutes of campus. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Core-Tech and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
EPA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I'm only leaving. This is the only hair that grows on my face right now. And I shaved all the stubble off last night. I'm merely doing this to have my daughter be just ticked as all get up. She hates facial hair, and she's going to be here at around 11. And I'm doing it so when she shows up, I have this. I will literally come back to the room and shave after she sees it.
That's perfect.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. John Harris, who covers the Texans. He's also part of Sports Radio 610 in Houston. He'll join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes. Hey, I just want to throw this in there if you've got something, but man, I have to start wondering how much of all these sports ratings is us as a society that has just, I don't know, gotten fed up with everything else on television, or we get our whatever elsewhere now instead of TV, except for sports. Because, Mark, at the same time that the women's college basketball final had 9.9 million, so let's just call it 10, had 10 million people watching a blowout. I mean, I think UCLA was up 16 or 17 after the first quarter. A blowout UCLA South Carolina women's final. The third most watched women's college basketball game ever. That was on ABC, 3:30 to 6 Eastern. 3 to 6 Eastern on NBC was the final round of the Valero Texas Open. And even though there
with a leaderboard that was, really a bunch of unknowns, if you will. I mean, not a lot of big. Come on, now that's a non-signature event. You've got what, Robert McIntyre, and you ended up getting JJ Spawn.
Well, and you had Oberg for a while until he faltered. So, I mean, you had Oberg, Spawn, McIntyre. McIntyre's finished second in a couple of majors. Oberg was right there for the Masters last year. Spawn won the U.S. Open. But I will say the field is better than we think, Mark, in this respect. There's 24 guys who played in San Antonio who are playing in Augusta. Okay, so the field was a little better than I think we all gave it credit for.
Okay, I'll give you all of that. Outside of golf people, it wasn't a list that the non-golf fan goes, oh my God, Robert Montgomery's playing. I got to turn it on.
Agree with that totally. Even, Oberg, McIntyre, Spawn, right. The casuals not tuning on for them. Okay. It did the second largest audience they've ever had. Now, the number was a little over 3 million. Okay. But I mean, this tournament's been going on since 1999 on NBC. And this was the second highest final round rating they've ever had. And it was rain that washed out a good chunk of the third round. I mean, they were making up a lot of golf in the final round. And so think about that. You got the third highest rated women's college basketball game of all time on Easter Sunday. And I mean third highest rated no matter what day, but it was on Easter Sunday, late afternoon. And then at the same time, you've got the Valero Texas Open, which is doing the second best rating they've ever had. I mean,
David, over 1 million watched that women's tournament at Augusta. I mean, they had like 1.1 million watching women amateur golf. I mean,
right.
Come on.
Which
think about that.
Right. I know. Now, how much of it, there is a new rating system, and they made sure to put the new system together to do a better job of getting the person watching who's watching not from their couch. whether it's in a sports bar or just out of home viewing. Okay, you're watching, somehow, some way elsewhere.
And it's not like there's not things going on in the world. And I'm not doing this to be political, but I mean, come on, we all know what's going on right now. We are bombing another country on a daily basis. Not right now, but I mean, during the weekend we were. So there are things going on that would seemingly take us off of our televisions. And David, I know you can name a bunch of nights where a bunch of shows are. I will say this. You're the only person, and I'm not messing around. You are literally the only person in my friend group that watches shows on network television. Shows, not sports.
No, I know. Yeah, I got about 6 of them. Right? I have more this year than I've had in recent years. A couple of new shows I really like. So does the wife. There are a couple that, she watches without me, and there's one I watch without her. But anyway, but these sports ratings are, I don't know if unbelievable is too strong a word. These sports ratings are fantastic.
Well, and here's the other thing that I find interesting about all of this. Look, there are a lot of people that don't like Elon. Since he bought X, there are many people who have gotten off of X. I don't think X is as popular today as it was just a couple of years ago.
All right.
It's a sports media thing. It's a media thing. Like, I don't know people. You and I talk about, hey, saw this on X. I don't have people that I deal with on a daily basis going, hey, I saw this on X. Now, do they see it on TikTok? Do they see it on Facebook? And I know you're not on either of those, but I don't use Facebook a lot. I have recently with what's going on to get in touch with people, but I don't see Facebook as a place where I get current sports information. The same with TikTok. So the other part of this, David, that I'm trying to figure out is where during whatever. I mean, is it just the fact that we're all constantly getting notifications on our phones about our favorite team, or if we follow Bleacher Report and sign up for a few things, where are we getting the urgency to then turn something on? Or is it simply we're at the point now where damn near every sport is appointment viewing? Because I even looked up NBA numbers today. There was someone comment on the Twitch chat room, and I looked, and I'm like, damn. And you mentioned it the other day. They're up.
Yeah, they actually are. Now, their big events are not, okay, in comparison to years past. And it's funny, I've heard a lot of NBA fans say, man, with this new NBA deal, I don't even know where the games are. Well, according to the ratings, you're finding them. You are. So I got to believe that a decent amount of this is this new system. I mean, I don't know how you felt. I will say 10, 15, 20 years ago, as somebody who was, in a very small way in the business, I always thought that sports was underrated. Like, we were getting if we got 4 million viewers for an SEC on CBS game, that was considered a lot. And I thought to myself, are you serious? There's only 4 million people watching this Alabama-Tennessee game? Really? Really?
And on that note, the article I read first thing when I got up this morning on The Athletic was about the head of Amazon talking about how, they're ready for the Masters, how well sports is going for them. They believe on Amazon. They have basketball. They have a lot of other things, and they're doing better than any other streaming network as far as their live sports coverage goes.
Mark, they're
and
Thursday
what
night
was
football.
the head of Amazon asked about? The programming head? Well, what does that mean? And do you know what he started talking about? The Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, Mark, they're doing 14 plus million on Thursday night. That's what Fox did in 2018, the last year they had Thursday night football.
Well, I think they had it for a couple more years. But the last year that we did Thursday Night Football on Fox, which I might have been 21, we did 14 million people on Thursday night. Well, that's what Amazon's getting on streaming. Some weeks higher.
So, it does, if you put a Super Bowl on Amazon, you're taking a big portion of the country and telling them they basically can't afford to watch. But the people that the advertisers want, who are spending money, well, they've got Amazon Prime. They're still the ones with a little bit of money to spend. More draft talk next.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, Jules, I'm with you. I've said for years, I don't think that there's a better app out there for anything than the Masters app. Yeah, I haven't done Bluesy, whoever brought that up. I'm fine with the people the only person that I've actually used for, not really, I never used Seth to follow anything. I don't know of any of the people that I follow for sports who have said, I'm done posting on X because of whatever. I know people that have left, but they were more, the people who wrote opinion pieces. I'm sure they do, Panda. I'm just saying I don't use Blue Sky. I don't need to sign up for another social app that I need to pay attention to. I guess that's all I'm saying. Because anybody that follows me knows I don't post very much. Yes, and
Should
I've
I
never
call
used
the?
it.
Yeah,
Give it a minute.
sure, if you want, but yeah, he's got a minute and a half.
I signed up for it, Paula.
All right. If he's not there when the rejoiner hits, I'll call.
Perfect.
Okay.
I've never used it, Paula. In fact, I'm about to delete it. Because I never followed anybody. I don't even think I finished signing up, to be honest with you, Paula. I noticed it on my phone, and I probably should have deleted it. I did dump Netflix yesterday, though, like I said I was going to.
Oh,
And
wow.
signed up for Paramount Plus and started watching Landman. And it's sensational. Sensational. God, is that a funny show. He is great. Billy Bob Thornton, whoever writes that, and he delivers it perfectly. My goodness. And I'd seen a bunch of the clips already. And even the clips I've seen are funny when you see them again.
I love his lawyer.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. We'll be talking with John Harris in just a moment. He covers the Houston Texans. He's part of their radio network and Sports Radio 610 in Houston. Masters coverage for those of you who just can't get enough. I believe in 7 minutes time, you can go to masters.com and the Masters app, and they start firing up featured groups and Amen Corner, and they start firing up their coverage in 7 minutes time. He's been a longtime friend of the show. He's John Harris. You can follow him on X at the letter J Harris Football. The letter J Harris Football. John, it's David and Mark. How you been?
Been very well, boys. Minus one bad afternoon in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Been very well. Yes. That one afternoon. Other than that, been okay. How y'all doing?
We're doing pretty well. Thank you very much. Very quickly before we go forward, how's the off season been so far? Like Mark, a co-host, likes to ask the question, before we head to the draft, do you think a team's roster is the same, better, or worse than when the season ended? So how would you grade that for the Texans? Thumbs up, down, or sideways?
Yeah, I think this one's a thumbs up. I think what they've done over the last few years is really hone in on the type of player they want to have in the building. And basically, if I'm keeping it simple, they wanted to find as many mini DeMeco Ryans as possible. The nicest guy off the field. You know, if you're faith-based, great, but just you're a good guy off the field. You're a guy that every father would want his daughter to marry. But when you go between the white lines, you become psychotic. You're just a different animal. And I think they've honed in on those guys. And I think guys that really kind of fit that mold, they've worked to move out. And a lot of those have been on the offensive line. And so going and getting Wyatt Teller, going and getting Braden Smith, even Evan Brown, a guy who would compete at center, they went out and found guys that were going to change the ethos of the offense. It's already there defensively. I don't think there's any question. As long as guys stay healthy, it's the best defense in the league. It is a rock star defense, and they're just going to get better as guys get more experience. But they needed to have that same mentality offensively. And I think they went out and found, especially in the offensive line, traded Titus Howard. That was kind of the last piece of the old regime. Now they're completely in with a group on the offensive line. You look at and go, okay, those are some glass eaters up there. I like that. And then Reed Blankenship at safety was a very underrated signing, but it's the perfect type of signing. The secondary didn't need another flash player. Secondary had 3 Pro Bowlers. Jalen Petrie should have made it. They just needed a guy that could kind of keep it all together, that could lead back there, because there's a lot of quiet guys until they're on the field. Then they play loudly, but they needed kind of a leader back there. They got it with Reed Blankenship. So they didn't break the bank with any one move. They didn't pay $27 million for Tyler Linderbaum, but every move was very intentional to what they're building and trying to build here.
All right. I love the term glass eaters. I've not heard that in a long time. I may be stealing that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at what we saw to CJ Stroud as a rookie was a guy that anybody wanted to build their team with. I mean, it's like, holy cow. If you were a guy that said take him over the guy in Carolina, you looked great. You haven't been looking as great. So what needs to happen to get him back to the level of play that he had his rookie season?
Man, Mark, if that question hasn't been asked a million times in Houston since that game against the Patriots, that's it. That is the $64 million question that people are asking. And you know how fans are. They always hone in. There's got to be one thing. It's got to be the quarterback coach. Okay, well, we changed him out. It's got to be the offense. Okay, well, they changed that offense in 2025. Well, it's got to be, lack of tight ends. Okay, well, now I got Foster Moreau. Probably going to draft one too. Oh, it's got to be the offensive line. Made 3 significant changes on the offensive line and changed the offensive line coach in 2024. My point in all that is, at some point, CJ Stroud has to step up and say, the offense is me. I am the offense. It runs through me. And I have to make those changes that he started to make at the end of the season. I think this is what's so confounding for people in Houston, was after he had the concussion to Denver and Davis Mills went and won 3 games, CJ came back and he started throwing the ball away. Screen was, diagnosed by a defensive tackle, he'd throw the ball in the dirt. Free rusher off the edge, he'd throw the ball away. He didn't take sacks. He didn't do dumb stuff with the football. And then all of a sudden, in the Pittsburgh game, he's trying to do too much and then made some great throws and really kind of bailed us out of that game. But in the Patriots game, it was too much. He didn't have Nico. He lost Dalton Schultz early. We didn't have Trent Brown. And I think he just tried to take on too much instead of just, let me play my game, the game that I've been playing the last half of this year. And when that went south, we were in trouble. Now, what a lot of people forget is in the second half, he did bring us back. It was a little bit here, a little bit there. If we could have held on and kept it 5 points, maybe he does something great. But that first half is what everybody has gone back to. With that first half, many people have talked about, that kept us from a Super Bowl because we're going to go face Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham's going to beat this defense? I don't think so. So we would have gone to the Super Bowl, but not for that last half. So to me, they've made every change possible that you can make. And what I think they've done is said, CJ, 2025 is your year. Because if it ain't, then you're probably not our guy. And that's why I don't think he'll get an extension. Now, they did exercise the option for the 5th year yesterday, which I expected. But I don't think he's going to get the big extension. And if I'm him, I don't want one. I want to do the Joe Flacco thing, lead us to a Super Bowl, and then take all the money the McNairs have going into the rest of my career.
John Harris, Texans Radio Network, Sports Radio 610 in Houston. Follow him on X, the letter J, Harris Football, the letter J, Harris Football. All right. Does he have around him enough good players? I mean, now we're going to go with just David Montgomery. Don't we have to do better than that? I mean, they got to get a running back out of this draft, right? Are the wide receivers good enough. I was at both those Texans playing off games. Not a ton of separation from the wideouts. I mean, you tell me, wide receivers, running backs, are the rooms talented enough?
Well, I think with running back, Woody Marks had a really solid rookie season last year. And the problem was that they had to probably use him in a way they weren't thinking they were going to. Now, I can't tell you where it went south with Joe Mixon. It was a mystery all year. I had people nationally and locally, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, it's this. Main thing was Joe wasn't coming back, and they had to go scramble and get Nick Chubb. And, Nick did what you would expect an older back that's been beaten down by injuries to do. But a Woody Marks, David Montgomery backfield is solid. Do I think they could add another running back? Yes. Problem is, I don't know that this draft is the one where you go, yep, there's my running back. That's the guy. I don't quite see that. Now, Jeremiah Love's gone by the time the Texans would even think about picking. So there's Jarian Price and Mike Washington Jr. Those are the next two that I have. And I would love either one of those. I don't know if they'll end up going that direction because there are some needs at some other key interior offensive defensive line positions. Now, as it pertains to wide receiver, we played that Patriots game without Nico Collins, and we played basically the second half of the Pittsburgh Steelers game without Nico as well. I think Jaden Higgins takes a big step. Jalen Noel is the key, though. Jalen Noel is the guy that's got to prove that he's taken the massive step to be a slot receiver. And then there's the conundrum of Tank Dell. Tank is 100%. Like, nobody has been more sure of himself than Tank Dell that I've ever met in my life. Tank is 1,000% convinced he's coming back and he's going to be an all-pro. That knee injury was horrific. I hope he can come back. He's had enough time to rehab and get ready. If Tank Dell is that, then I think the room is okay. I do feel like with Nico, Higgins, Noel, Xavier Hutchinson is one of the better number 4s in the league. And if Tank is healthy, I feel like that room is good. Maybe there's a day 3 piece that's a little different. Maybe kind of does some slot return things, but he runs 4.3. A guy like Brendan Thompson from Mississippi State. Oh, man, that would be incredible to put with the speed on his team. But I think what they'll do is they'll actually look at tight end and look at a tight end that's got wide receiver capabilities. I think that's the way they'll kind of bridge the gap between wide receiver, tight end, and even in running back in some sense. I think that's where they'll look. They'll have a unique piece at tight end. It's kind of a matchup nightmare to go with Dalton Schultz. I think that's the way that they'll end up going. But I do think a tight end or a wide receiver will end up being late. Not late on day 3, but I think it'll end up being on day 3. And you guys know how it's been for wide receiver the last how many ever years. Colleges are playing 3 and 4 and 5 at a time now. So many receivers are there in the draft. You're going to get a pretty good one even on day 3 as you go through this thing.
Well, and John, I mean, every team's got to be right in the draft. I get it. But without a third, without a fourth, it does put a little pressure on this Texans team, right? I mean, they've got 2 picks, and then they're not picking until day 3. So, I mean, they had a first-round pick, they had a second-round pick, and then if I've got this right, nothing in the third, nothing in the fourth. Is that correct?
No. We've got 2 2s, a 3, and a 4. So we've got 5 picks. Yeah, we've got 5 picks in the top 106, and we've got 4 picks in the top 69. Where we don't have picks is back end. We've got 167 and then 243. So there's a big gap at the end, but I'm fine with that. Where we've got the picks, especially 28-38, because I think that's where you can and where Nick Caserio will definitely maneuver a little bit. And I think 28, and this is the part I always try and do in a draft, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but I try and match up where I think this draft is, where it's heavy, where I think the value is. I think the value 28-38 is where the interior defensive lineman is. I think that's where you can find a bunch of Cade McDonald, Kristen Miller, Lee Hunter from out of Texas Tech. I think those guys, kind of fit in that 28-38 range as interior offensive linemen. Basantis from A&M, Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon. Even, it's a little high for a center, but then we're sitting there at 59-69 where I think the centers start going off the board. And I do think we need a young center to go in that mix. So we've got those 4 picks in the top 69, but it wouldn't surprise me if Nick Caserio, because looking at the value of this draft, says, you know what? I think we've got enough ammunition. We can go up and we can go get somebody a little bit higher in the first. Maybe that 38 turns into 33 with the Jets, making a deal with them to be the first pick on day 2. But we've got those 4 picks. I think those 4 picks eventually turn into 3, but one of those, 28 becomes 18, 38 becomes 33, 59 becomes 40 something. I think they're going to turn one of those first 4 into a higher level pick. Nick has done it every year. He traded up to get Ariante Aristry last year. He traded up a few years ago, 3 picks in the day 3 to move up and go get Nico Collins in the 3rd round in 2021. That's really where he loves to trade up. But he was trying to trade up last year. He wanted Booker, who went to Dallas. He wanted Zabel, who ended up going to the Seahawks. He wanted to trade up last year. He just couldn't do it. And then by that point, it's like, the guy we like is Higgins, and we think we can get him a little bit later, and the Giants want a deal. It's okay. Let's go get Higgins, trade it down, got an extra 3rd, use that extra 3rd to move up further or move up higher in the 2nd round, and went and got Ursery. And Higgins and Ursery are going to be 2 pieces for us, foundational pieces for us going forward. So I think Nick will manufacture and move this board around. But one of those 4 picks is going to be a little bit higher than what it is right now.
John, where I can't read and do a show at the same time, David. I'm trying to look through everybody's picks, and I'm like, okay, they don't have one here. Well, but that's my mistake. Sorry, John.
Well, I'll combine the 2 of us here, and John. We got a minute or so. Okay, Mark loves Sadiq. You've described what the Texans have and what they need. Mark, I think, with those picks, okay, but you may have to go all the way up to like the Rams at 13. That's their only 1st round pick. They may not be. They need a receiver. Dallas is at 12. I don't know that they'd move down, although they have 20. I'm just curious. Would you aggressively go after Sadiq?
Absolutely. In fact, in my last mock draft, and I know there's rumor there's going to be a lot of trades in this draft, but I did one because that was the only trade I could really think of that I wanted to make. And that was I traded up from 28 to 18 in my mock draft. And with the Vikings, I gave up a 3rd. I think I gave up 69. And I moved up to go get Sadiq. That's the one player that I feel like the Texans could really use. He's a unique matchup player. I think the ethos of his playing style helps. Oh, yeah, and he ran 4.39. So he might be the fastest guy in our building when he walks in. So I just feel like that's another piece that could help C.J. Stroud. So I would absolutely – we are simpatico on this. I want Sadiq. Sadiq is a guy that I want to have. And I do think that's a guy that given everything that we know about Sadiq, I think he would fit in our locker room for a number of reasons. And I do think that's a guy they would think about and consider moving up for.
John Harris, Texans Radio Network, Sports Radio 610 in Houston. Follow him on X, the letter J, Harris Football, the letter J, Harris Football. John, all the best to you and the family. Thanks for being so good to us over the years. Maybe we'll catch up after the draft.
Absolutely, boys. Appreciate it. Loved it. Thank you.
John Harris joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. So what do you think?
His endorsement. This guy does he's a Texans guy, but he has been big into the draft for a long time. And we could have talked to him about any team, any round, and he's got a good gauge on what teams want to do with their draft status. And the Texans, he thinks, will make moves in the draft.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866 566-9Pelican. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Tell you what, though, if you're Houston, you got to, you may have to go to the Dolphins at 11. The Rams may not want, I know the Rams like the deal, but they traded away one first-round pick already. They may really want to hold on to this one.
Well, and they get rid of late picks, to your point. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't cared if it's because they've been picking late. They've got, because of a trade, they got pick 13.
Right.
You know, and that's a valuable pick compared to what they've been getting rid of in the past.
And they may want a plug-and-play guy because they know how close they are. It's a thing between Dallas and Houston. I don't know if Jerry will want to help the Texans. All right. And now I know he's got 20, but Houston would have to overwhelm Dallas to get Dallas to agree to do 12. And if Pat and others are right that the Ravens are going to take Sadiq at 14, they may have to go to Miami at 11. Oh, I would do it, Drutharian. They need impact players. They need impact players on offense. They have a Super Bowl defense. Absolutely. Top 3 in the league, no question. No question. For those of you who want to say Seattle or Denver, fine. Houston's top 3 defense in the league. I'd give up a 1 and a 2 easy, but you may have to give up a 1, a 2, and a 3 to move up to.
That's a long reach to go from 28 to 12
or 11.
Right.
Right.
You're giving up 28. You're probably having to give up 38.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you may have to give up next year's third if you don't want to give up this year's.
Or maybe even next year's second. Yeah.
I don't think you'd have to give up that much, but that's.
Well, it's the type of trade. Now, granted, it was for a quarterback, but go back and look at what Kansas City had to give up. They made a move for Mahomes that was like 28 to 12. They had to give up next year's 1, I'm pretty sure, when they did it. Oh, it was the Bills? I thought it was with the Bills for the receiver.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour or the pro hour of Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. The pro hour, because we're in, well, two pro cities, Jacksonville and Tampa, St. Pete. And obviously, we can be heard MillerandMoulton.com and elsewhere, live on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton and on the Miller and Moulton YouTube channel. 20 golfers on the course at Augusta. A few minutes ago, the leader, Jose Marie Olazabal. Birdies on 2 and 3 to get to 2 under. Love it.
Angel Cabrera in second. They're the only two in red numbers right now.
Love.
I mean, for the moment, it is what
Right.
it is. It's gonna change quickly. Trust us.
International leaderboard, number 1 and number 2, two former champions.
All right, here's just an out there question, because we've seen guys, Rory came from behind last year. What do you think you have to shoot today, given the fact that you don't think it's going to be an extremely low number to win it? Where do you have to be today? 72? Does it have to be better than that? What do you have to be at today?
No worse than 74. Okay, because I don't know if we get to 10. Okay, I think this could be a 9 at most 10 under win. So I just think you can't bury yourself today. I would prefer if you were 73 or better. Okay, but I just, you just can't bury yourself today. Don't go out, Koepka's done that a few times. He goes out and he, shoots a 77. And you're like, Brooks, what the heck? So that I would say as far down as 74, if I'm right about the scoring. Obviously, if I am wrong, 74 is really damaging. But I'd probably play it safe and say no worse than 73.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and that because then you're talking 68, 69, 69. I mean, you're in it, seemingly most Masters champions have one exceptional round.
Yeah.
166, 167 in there. Sometimes even better when the course is playing maybe a touch easier, but it's not going to rain. It's not expected to rain. It's going to be gusty, which means the greens will be hard. And the point you made yesterday, and I don't just mean about Scheffler, but you specifically talked about him, and you're right when you say so. It's not just the guy, and obviously you want to hit the most greens and you want to have as many putts for birdie as humanly possible. But we always talk about putting on these greens, and rightly so. They're maybe the toughest greens to putt of any course that's played. But the point you brought up yesterday about how well Scheffler's always chipped at Augusta, I think that is maybe the most understated thing about how to win this, because you're not going to hit every green. One, it's where you miss from. And two, when you miss, can you get up and down? And your skill in doing so. Phil's won a couple of these. Well, I don't know if there's ever been anyone that had the imagination of Mickelson around the greens. Scheffler, for a guy who's not known as an exceptional chipper, I think he has great imagination at Augusta. I've watched him hit, bump and runs that hit the fringe first and trickle on. I mean, he's hit different shots, And most of these guys like to pitch it a little higher, and they get soft landings, and that's what they get at normal tour spots. But what they do here is different because of the wild undulation on the greens. So I do think, obviously you mentioned Scheffler specifically, but to me, that's part of this that I think needs to be taken into account for. And it's where course knowledge and experience at Augusta can really pay off that sometimes I don't think we pay enough attention to, David.
Listen, obviously he's the best golfer in the world. He's won here twice. He can just, there are certain guys for certain courses, and even though he hasn't really had his A game with him this year, but if you think about it, Mark, first off, he's not been a great Thursday, Friday guy. So the first thing with Scheffler, if I'm a big Scheffler fan, hey, dude, just don't play yourself out of this, okay? I might take 271s right now.
Oh, sign me up.
If I'm a Scheffler fan, okay? With the way the course I think is going to play, and, he's made 2 cuts this year on the number on the PGA Tour. He has really struggled on Thursdays and Fridays and then tears it up and posts a top 5 or a top 10 in some cases. In fact, I think he had 3 weeks where he had a 1, a 2, and a 4. And in one of those, he barely made the cut. And in the other, he made it by 1. Okay. But you can't count on doing that at Augusta. So he's also, he's had the pull, not the pull hooks, but the pulls off the tee this year. He's hit it dead left a lot, and very unlike Scheffler. Like you mentioned it yesterday, Mark. Remember for years, Mickelson had the 1 4-footer he missed a round. And at the end of the tournament, he finished 3-4 back at Tiger, and you'd go, well, Tiger didn't miss a 4-footer every day. You did. Okay. Scheffler's missed a 4-footer seemingly every day this year. Can't do that here. Even if you're not normally a great putter, which obviously he can be. Like I saw an interview Ian Woosnam gave the other day, and he said, listen, the course always agreed with my game, but I wasn't a great putter. But I had literally switched putters that week, and it's the most confident I ever felt in my life from 4 feet in. He goes, I didn't miss one all week. He goes, you just can't there. You just can't. So there's little things that I want to see from Scheffler. Is he better off the tee? Because normally he's phenomenal. Is the pull gone? And can he not miss a 4-footer today? That would be nice.
A couple of good early groups going off just basically after we are off the air. Scheffler plays later in the day, but right before we end, my guy that I picked, not my guy, because I'm not a Patrick Reed guy. I just got a strange feeling this week. But Reed, Fleetwood, and Batea are a threesome together. That to me is
that's
pretty
your group.
That's my group. I've got my long shot and my guy in that group. Right after that, DeChambeau, Fitzpatrick, and Schauffele going off at 10:07.
I like the odds on Batea.
Yeah.
By the way, that's for a player who's really good. And there are a lot of people that think it's his time this year to win a major. I don't know if it's this one, but what are you getting? 65 to 1 or something
60,
like that?
60.
Yeah. That's for a player that good. That's good odds. I went with Rahm, and my long shot is Jake Knapp.
His original long shot was Rose.
Right, but he wasn't long enough of a shot. I thought he was 40 plus, and it turns out he was 22.5 to 1. So that's not enough of a shot. I almost went Goddard up, but I don't know if he qualified either.
Thing with Goddard up, and I'm interested. He's playing with Scheffler. Does that affect him at all? I'm sorry. Who's he playing with? I just looked at this, and that to me does that matter to you who they're playing with the first 2 days?
No. Goddard up's with Rahm and Oberg.
That's it. He's with Rahm, and that's a highly competitive group there. That's 2 guys that are expected to be playing in Oberg and Rahm. Come on, David. If they're not playing in one of the last 3 groups on Sunday, they're not playing as well as they've expected to play.
By the way, who's shortest off the tee in that group? Damn. Tee shots are going to go a long way in that group.
So the Masters underway. You can get it right now if you want to watch on masters.com and a few other places. I think 4, 5, and 6 are already up. I don't know if a featured group's fired off yet.
I do want to make one amendment. Two things. First off, it turns out that there wasn't a starter or a marker that they decided instead of 30 threesomes and a solo, they went with 29 threesomes and 2 twosomes. Okay, so I want to correct that. I made a mistake earlier in the show. And Puck corrected me on Twitch because I am big on a fast play guy looped in with a slow play guy. Like, I think Patrick Cantlay can ruin your tournament. I do. Like, wasn't it one year, didn't Koepka get paired with Cantlay? And, that's like, well, we don't want Brooks Koepka to contend. Lanny Watkins joked one year he was in the opening. He was the first group off the tee. He goes, I'm the fastest player on tour. You can't make that any better for me. And he was in a twosome. Okay. And he went out and shot 65. The first round of the Masters. And that was when Lanny almost won it, I think, in 91. And he said, well, I have to admit, when I saw the groupings, I thought, wow, they want me to win this thing.
And the marker will come and play on the weekends if an odd number of players make the cut, because it's whatever in ties. So, if they end up with 61 or whatever the case may be, the marker comes in on the weekend because they don't let someone play solo, and they're not going to send the first group off as a threesome. Some nitty gritty draft talk today. We talked some Jets draft. We saw some Texans draft. Yesterday, you were going through a mock draft in which, everybody's got Reese going 2 to the Jets, and Peter Schrager's got Bailey, the kid from Texas Tech, going 2 to the Jets. Right. And Antwan Staley said it's between the two. I mean, he didn't say it was one or the other. He said it's between those two, and he's someone that covers the team.
But there's right now in the mock draft world, there seems to be a Jets consensus of whoever they think the best defensive player is in the draft, they'll take it 2, and best receiver available is who they'll take at 16. Then they have the first pick of the second round, and they have a pick 11 picks later. They have 4 of the top 44, I believe. So
I did think it was interesting. I started checking after Antwan Staley said that he's not the only one that thinks that the Louisville receiver was a first round, surefire first round pick before the knee injury. He's now on the thing I'm looking at of top 100 players, 48th. Is that a guy that's a steal if you're getting him mid-second round, if you know what I mean?
How much you willing to gamble, though, if you're the Jets? You think he makes it to 44, or do you just take him at 33? Or do you trade down, but only 5-6 spots?
I would opt for B out of those, David. I really would. 2 weeks away. NFL draft. We're threatening to do a mock draft on this show. Threatening.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Well, Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
And Puck, believe it or not, I know exactly what you're saying, that you don't like them. I think if we do it, it would be a little different than just rattling off players. More of a try to inform people what a team's looking for. You know, what their needs are, if they want a certain player, where they would go to get him, where potential trades are. I understand your point. I get it. Trust me, I get it. And I don't know if you're in the majority or the minority if we do it. And it'll be really easy to tell because we'll watch the numbers go down or up. Look at you going Diet Coke, Mark. There was a time you went Jack and Coke. Now you're older. Now those calories matter to you. I understand. Probably, I did get a text earlier that I probably should have left off the margarita and gone with the rum and Coke. That is a very popular mixed drink. But then again, I'm a guy. And I'm not a rum person. Never have been. My buddies were all big into Mount Gay rum, never the captains. And I had other buddies that were captain guys, and they had a group of guys in Naples. They were all captain guys. My buddies from college were all into the Mount Gay rum. You got to admit, Puck, the mojito is a pretty popular drink. Boy, you know, Javier, that's funny. When he says teenage drink, that was our probably go-to. Southern Comfort, and wait for it, Southern Comfort and Mountain Dew. But yeah, I left that back in high school, maybe early. I left it by early college because I moved in with guys and they were both Jack drinkers. By the time I was a junior, senior in college, we were drinking Jack or we were drinking Scotch. We thought we were cool. A lot of Johnny Walker. Oh, wow. I couldn't even imagine the hangover I'd have from Southern Comfort and apple juice right now. That's funny.
Oh, Southern, I forgot about RC Cola. Oh, that was Matthew.
My stepfather drank Jack. My buddy that lives up north in Michigan still, he's a Jack guy. He didn't need the, big expensive bourbons. Bartender I was chatting with at a restaurant we go to, he's a bourbon guy too, and he said that the Sinatra Jack is amazing.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two, all coming up. So 2 things I just want to throw out there. We were talking about a team. What if they want to make a pretty big move in the first round of the draft? And the team that we kind of had in mind was the Houston Texans. And what if they want to make a big play for Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon? And the worry is that he may not make it past the Ravens at 14. And where are they? 28?
Yes.
So what would they have to give up to go to 28 to 13? 12. Dolphins at 11. Listen, this is, things change and people want more, they want less. When the Chiefs went to get Mahomes, they traded, with the Bills. They were at 27, Mark. They had to give up, obviously, 27. They had to give up their 3rd round pick, which was late in the 3rd round, and they had to give up their first rounder the next year. So, we were talking about how much of what the Texans have this year, which is 2 2s and a 3, and how much of that they'd have to give up. Well, Chiefs moved up 17 spots. They had to give up a 3 this year and a 1 the next year. So there. That was about 7 or 8 years ago.
Right. And a 1 next year would be a 2 this year. So, their pick, a 2 and a 3, would it get it done? I don't know. That, we'll see. It's to me, it's very difficult to speculate trades. I think it's the hardest thing about doing a mock. Like if you were to do a mock draft to speculate trades, there's going to be trades, but it's the hardest thing about the draft process.
Yeah. Just wanted to throw out a ballpark. You would think it's got to be in the ballpark. That's all. Just wanted to throw it out there.
Thank you. I'm merely saying that when people do mocks to speculate trades is the hardest thing. It's all I'm saying. Unless that's where you would like if you did a mock draft by yourself and I did a mock draft by myself, you'd have 17 trades because you loved them. I would have none because you're better. You are very good at saying, well, they need to get this and you got to go get this guy. Like when we've done our draft shows, you think ahead with the draft. You don't think in the moment. You're thinking, all right, 3 receivers have gone. So if I want a receiver, where do I have to go to get the next one? And I just use receiver as an example, but that's your mentality in a draft. Is like you're looking ahead. When's that run on whatever position going to happen? And can you get in front of that run?
Like if I'm the Jets, my second first rounder at 16. What if I'm like, I really want a wide receiver? Well, don't you have to be concerned about the Dolphins at 11 and the Rams at 13? Okay, so how, if there's one receiver that you really want, I mean, Mark, it's possible that only one wide receiver has been taken in the first 9 picks of the draft, right?
Right, but it's also possible that both Tyson and Lemon are gone. I mean,
Exactly.
Between 11 and 15. I mean, yeah.
So, if you're the Jets, have you called the Bengals in advance and said, hey, what would it take to go to 10? And the Bengals are like, we never trade. We're not interested. Yeah, I know, but humor me. Would the Dolphins do a deal, an interdivision deal? This GM seems as if he'll trade with anybody if he can get picks. So just, yeah. You were saying?
Oh, I was, yesterday you did Schrager's draft. And one of the guys I asked if he was in the first round is the Auburn edge guy, Keldrick Falk. The thing I got that I was looking at yesterday, and a guy that I trust, and he just had the top 100. He's got Falk at 15. I read another post on X early this morning that said Falk's a guy that I think is going to go a lot higher than he's going in mocks. So to me, that's just a name to pay attention to. He could end up in the second round. He could end up going to the Lions in the first round because they need an edge guy. So there is such a difference of opinion, not only on him, but there's a difference of opinion on Bain, where he's going to go. The other Miami edge guy, where is he going to go? Mesidor, I mean, he's ranked 28th out of the top 100 on my list. So to me, the tackle from Utah, who Pat thinks might slip. I mean, there's just a handful of guys that they're all over the place. And I thought you made an excellent point going receivers with Jets, because after those top three, there's three other guys that are ranked pretty highly. But are they first round guys?
Right. But if you're the Jets and you're like, we got to come out of here with a receiver, are you going to roll the dice for 33? Or you're like, blanket, we got to go take somebody. Just wanted to change the subject for a second. I saw this late yesterday, and a buddy of mine just texted to me during the break. We were talking yesterday and the day before, for that matter, about the cost of doing business in college basketball. So the site that we like, the Field of 68, they talked to over 10, either a high major coach, top assistant, or general manager from these programs. So people who would know. Apparently, Mark, this is the price of doing business this offseason. You want a wing? And we're talking about a top 25 portal player. They've got all the lists, but an elite. I think it's fair to say if you're a top 25, you're elite.
Yep.
Impactful at the very least, right? You want to go get a wing? $2.5 to $3 million. Point guard, 3 to 4. A big man, 4 to 5. That's the cost of doing business right now.
Man, if chicken wings ever got expensive. And I knew the cost had gone up. I mean, now you're spending I thought $17 for 12, where it used to be 10, but $2 million. Damn, that better be some good sauce. I better get a vat of blue cheese with that.
Well, I hate when we talk food, because I know you're starving more these days than ever before when we've done the show. But you could even take that as, even if wings are $2.50 to $3 a wing, you're like, damn, that's gone up. Used to be $1 a wing. Used to be $1.50 a wing. At most $2 a wing. What's going on out there?
So funny you say that, David, because this place that I found near where I'm staying, good little bar restaurant, a lot of TVs, good food.
Great.
I've been there before 6, and I think their happy hours 3 to 6, and they've got food specials. They have wings on their food special. You can get, normally their minimum order is 10, but they've got an order of 5 during their happy hour.
Right.
It's $8 for 5 wings. And that's actually a decent price.
That's their special.
Considering we used to go somewhere and get 50-cent wings. And I mean, I'm not talking generations ago. It wasn't that long ago that you could go get a 50-cent wing.
Yeah.
Or $1 wing, even $1 wing.
Now in college basketball, if you're looking for a wing, i.e. a small forward, shooting guard, 2.5 to 3 million bucks, not bucks, million bucks for those wings. Yeah.
So the portal open in college basketball, and wings, whether they're on your plate with sauce or trying to get one in the portal, are far more expensive than ever before.
Price is going up, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Now, you did your research, R&D. You went to a local watering hole. Okay, I went with the field of 68. We've got you covered both ways.
And a good wing is something that never goes out of style. College basketball or on a plate. Just don't bring me any ranch dressing. That's all I'm telling you. Today was the day when the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what's on tap? It's next, Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Is Dylan's in Naples, Javier?
Yes, I know that place.
I know Hat Tricks is a big winner in wings in Tampa. And then a place called Duff. Ooh, my Fat Rabbit Pub makes the list. How about that? They do have a good wing. I'm sorry, Tim, I didn't see your question. I just see your own answer to your own question. I don't eat at that place, Tim. It's a movie about the mafia, Chad? I don't know. Sorry, you know. So I just sent. Oh, did you mute yourself there, David? Because I thought I took you off. Okay.
I moved and I accidentally unplugged my mic. Where is it you don't eat?
Outback.
Oh, well, I was doing something I didn't see.
Outback.
That's
That's,
why
yeah.
I didn't see the discussion.
So I sent Felipe a text. I've been meaning to for a few days that simply said, I walk this campus for 4 miles every day. There are a lot of Broncos sports on campus. Take a guess who's driving all of them. You remember when I called it a chick car and how mad
I was
he got
going to
at
say
me?
women.
Oh, everyone. And he finally texts me back today. He says, I was talking to this girl for a bit, and when she finally saw my car, she said it was her dream car.
That's great.
God, that's so good.
How many years ago now does that make you right? 4?
At least I was right then. I'm right now.
Yep.
And I mean, every time I walk and see one, 9 out of 10, it's a girl driving the car.
Yep, it's the SUV version of the Mazda Miata.
And Raj, I admitted to Felipe, I don't know if you recall the car. They still make them, but they were really popular for a while. I bought one of those FJ Cruisers that Toyota made. I thought it was super cool. Bought one right away. Got people asking me like at stop signs, what's that car? And after about 6 months of driving it, I realized I was driving a chick car because I was the only guy that had one. I just laughed hysterically.
I do remember those. I didn't think of them like that, but I see your point.
It's a chick. It was a chick car. It was. Yes. He still is, Paula. He still is. He loves his car.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're out of here. The Masters is underway. Jose Maria Olazabal. Birdie's on 2 and 3. He's through 5. He's 2 under par. He's your leader. Only 2 other golfers. I mean, there's only about 30 guys on the course, but only 2 other golfers under par. Grazerman and Kitayama both at 1 under. Big boys start teeing off in about 25 minutes or so. There's a couple of groups that tee off in the 10 o'clock hour with big boys in them. And then there's 3 groups in the 1 o'clock hour with big boys in them. Those are your featured groups.
We've had a couple of poll questions that we've mainly neglected for the majority of this show. It's National Gin and Tonic Day, so I threw up 4 mixed drinks: gin and tonic, vodka soda, Jack and Coke, and margarita. Probably should have had the rum and Coke up there, but I'm over the age of 18 and I'm a guy. So I didn't.
Gotcha.
And also, which group produces the winner? The Live guys, even though Reed's not a Live guy anymore, but we put him in there. Bryson, Reed, Rahm, or the PGA Tour guys, Scheffler, McIlroy, and Schauffele. Right now, the Live guys with the slight edge, and that mainly is because of Miller and Moulton. I'm picking Patrick Reed. David is picking John Rahm for what it's worth. We shall see.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
He didn't just have a signature, everybody. We start today in 1786 in what is considered the first act of physical resistance to British authority in the colonies, when John Hancock refused to allow 2 British customs agents to go below deck of a ship. He was the first one that said F you to the Brits. Not just a signature, everybody. 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee and 26,000+ troops surrender, ending the Civil War. Today in 1881, Billy the Kid found guilty of murdering the Lincoln County Sheriff. He was sentenced to hang. But like the movie, he did escape and then was shot by Pat Garrett months later. Just for you Leafs fans out there, you actually did win a couple of cups. One of them was today in 1932. It was your first Stanley Cup as the Maple Leafs. 35, the Montreal Maroons beat the Leafs, the last defunct team to win a cup. It all started for the Celtics today in 59, their first of 8 straight titles, sweeping the Minneapolis Lakers. Arnie wins his 3rd today in 62 in a Monday playoff with Gary Player and Dow Finsterwald. Yes, Dow Finsterwald could have been a Masters champion. That's a worse name than Charles Schwartzel. First baseball game at the Astrodome today in 65. It was an exhibition game. Mickey Mantle would hit the first indoor home run as the Yankees beat the Astros 2-1. President Johnson and his wife were in attendance. Nicholas goes wire to wire today in 72, winning by 3 over 3, including Weisskopf. This one's mainly for David and I. It was today in 1976 that we were told to follow the money. We've been doing it on our show ever since. All the President's Men released today in 1976. Drugs, David. Drugs. 1977, the number 1 hit in the land is Dancing Queen by ABBA.
No, a lot of cocaine in the latter part of the 70s. A lot of cocaine.
2 good sports things here in 78. Gary Player at 42 goes 64 in his final round to win by 1 over 3, including Tom Watson. And then that night, believe it was the last day of the NBA season, Gervin scores 63. David Thompson scores 73. Fernando Mania started today at 81 because the pitching staff had injuries. So they threw this rookie out there. He'd shut out the Astros. He would end up winning Rookie of the Year in the Cy Young Award in 81. Let's Dance by David Bowie becomes the first song to hit number 1 in the U.S. and the UK simultaneously today in 83. Crenshaw wins his 2nd in 95. Baghdad falls to U.S. forces today in 2003. Mickelson wins his 2nd in 06. Sergio finally gets his major today in 2017. And David's pick, John Rahm, won today 3 years ago. Curly Lambeau, Hugh Hefner, and the great Seve Ballesteros would have all celebrated birthdays today. Dennis Quaid is 72. Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe is 63. Paulina Porsagova is 61. I don't know how I got these backwards. I'm sorry. I should have done Rick Tocchet first. He's 62. He still likes to gamble, I think. Paulina Porsagova is 61, proving that even ugly rock stars can get beautiful women. She married Rick Ocasek. When you can explain that one to me, David, you can explain anything to me.
That's more puzzling than Hugh Grant doing what he did when he was engaged to. Oh, come on. The British actress there.
He was engaged to a British actress, huh?
I had her name on the tip of my tongue. That's why I started to go down that road.
Yeah, I'll get it back on the tip of your tongue, but Raheem Mozart's 34. What did I miss other than who Hugh Grant was engaged to?
Did you have Robert E. Lee surrendering today?
Yeah, I had that one.
Okay. Well, then you didn't miss much.
Time to see life a little bit differently. here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Thunder Bay, Ontario, where a dog was chasing geese and ended up stranded on an ice floe. But the Thunder Bay fire rescue personnel were able to make their way out onto the ice and retrieve the canine to the animal's owner. They issued a warning that the ice is no longer safe. Elizabeth Hurley. Thank you. Raj, next time just jump right in. Thank you, sir.
Way to go. So
well done.
That's number 2. Rick Ocasek marrying Paulina Porzakova. That's number 1.
Where does Lyle Lovett and Julia Roberts rank?
Yeah, she didn't marry him though, right? She was just.
I don't remember.
I thought they dated. It was quick. I thought they were engaged for an hour and a half.
I will tell you that's up there because that is an ugly human being. No. I mean, you talk about getting hit with the ugly stick one too many times. All right, for the bad, we go to New York via the Keys, where a New York man was arrested on Key Largo for reckless driving. Timothy Mahoney. When they finally pulled him over, or got to him, I should say, he was outside of his truck going all village people, at least from the neck up, because he was wearing a construction hat, otherwise naked, while dancing to music. He was trying to smoke weed at the time and was arrested before he could get a good hit off the bike.
By the way, Julia Roberts married to Lyle Lovett 21 months. They had been dating for 3 weeks. They eloped.
I'll put that ahead of Paulina Porzakova and Rick Ocasek.
Wow.
Lyle Lovett.
That's
a
great question.
The Cars had some good music. Lyle Lovett, really? There was the one thing he redid all the Texas stuff that was pretty cool. But, I mean, first off, moving in stereo just for the scene in Fast Times ranks above anything Lyle Lovett's ever done. Cars are an underrated band. Raj, you with me on that or no? I'll trust.
I agree, especially moving in stereo.
Finally, the ugly. We go to Naples, where it all started like a fun night. And Timothy Foreman thought he was, a lady thought she was going home with Timothy Foreman at that hot late night spot in Naples known as Seed to Table. They left at around 11 p.m. from the damn grocery store that turns into a nightclub. I'll never figure that one out. And then Foreman ripped her purse off her arm and kicked her out of the car, threatening to kill her if she didn't get out.
Oh my
Stole
goodness.
her credit cards and about $500 in cash. Fortunately for the victim, they were able to catch up with the man. He was detained and the $424 was given back to the woman. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, April the 9th. And it's brought to you by the good folks of the Cape Coral Police Department. CapeCops.com. Hiring new officers, offering great pay plus a signing bonus. CapeCops.com.
Yeah, you don't let me do that anymore.
Well, I didn't think you really liked to. It was
loved
fun
it.
once or twice, and then I just kind of,
I loved
sometimes
it.
you're doing your own thing. You can write checks during this segment. I never know what's going on over there.
No,
It's like,
it's a dadgum good point. I'm looking up stuff that I think you might have missed, and of course you have all of it. Right.
and then you got to do now you're on. So what's on tap? This is kind of your thing, and you're usually looking up games when I hit you up for CapeCops.com.
There's only 6 baseball games today, 3 in the afternoon. One of them's a mighty nooner. What do you say? You get in the car. Go check out the Marlins and the Reds, huh? Over under 10,000. Marlins Reds noon today. Over under 10,000.
Under.
Okay. 6 games in the NBA. Heat are in Toronto. They want any chance of getting out of the 10 spot. They got to start winning. Meanwhile, Toronto's desperately trying to hold on to the 6.
Amazon doubleheader is a pretty good one. Celtics and Knicks in New York, Lakers and Warriors in Golden State. Steph back for the Warriors. LeBron should be playing. Lakers trying to remain a top 4 seed. Boston with a win would clinch the 2 over the Knicks. They're going to do it anyway. So 14 hockey games, Mark. When you're mastered out, you want some hockey tonight, you and your son got a lot going on. Lightning are in Montreal. It's just 3 and 4 nights for Tampa Bay. They lost the first 2. Buffalo back-to-back hosting Columbus. Huge game for both. For what it's worth, Panthers in Ottawa. Huge game for the Senators trying to hold on to the final wild card. Phillies in Detroit. Philly has won a bunch of games here. They're in the playoffs. Detroit, they're not. They need to win out. And then second place at stake, Minnesota at Dallas. Dallas 2 points ahead of them. So some of the highlights in the NHL.
Big game for the Lightning on the road. I'm with you. That game against the Canadians is a monster game for them. Monster game. So I think the Canadians, they've been the hottest team in the league right now. They're on a roll, and Tampa's now lost 2 in a row. You know, they could fall in. I mean, this could end up being where they're playing at Montreal in this series, for crying out loud. I mean, this is a big game.
This is the week that could take them from being the 1 seed to being in 3rd place. Frozen Fours tonight, ESPN 2, 5 o'clock, Wisconsin, North Dakota, 8:30, Denver and Michigan. So until 1 o'clock, you got to do the Masters.com or the Masters app. 1 to 3, Amazon. I will not be watching. I'll be tied up. I'll be curious to hear from not just you, Mark, but from everybody. You know, Terry Gannon, I think, is the main voice on the Amazon product, whether it's enjoyable or not. And then the 4-letter network, 3 o'clock till the last shot of the day.
So that's your Masters coverage for the day. We'll see. You know, I'm probably more interested to see who gets off to a bad start, if you know what I mean, David. You know, I mean, we think it's going to be a very convoluted leaderboard towards the end, but does somebody put themselves in a rough spot after day, particularly a Rory, a Scheffler, a Rahm? You know, who's the guy that we think, Schauffele, who gets off to the bad start is probably what I'm more interested today. You know, because you're right, 72, 71, fine. But who shoots 74 and puts themselves in a really rough position?
By the way, a lot of people picking Schauffele.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So, all right.
Golf all day, Frozen 4 tonight, plus NHL hockey with the Lightning. Enjoy a really sneaky good sports day. And hello, friends.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
EPA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 133251.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thank you,